right, we are back for the first second half draft show of the 2023 calendar year. Joining me is Drew. No Headley tonight. He's getting it in for his birthday. Happy birthday, Headley. But we do have a mock draft for you, a mock draft duel, the dual variety, the head to head variety. And Drew will be representing the AFC teams while I'll be representing the NFC team. So, Drew, are you ready? Are you ready to get into this mock draft?
Let's go, bro. Let's get it. AFC got a lot of picks, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say, bro.
You're gonna be busy.
I'm gonna be
You're gonna
busy.
be busy. You're
Getting
gonna
it
be
in.
busy. So
Getting it in.
let's tee it up. Let's tee it up. All right. So as you can see, as things have played out, we are now officially in draft season. And as fortune would have it, the Chicago Bears end up with the first overall pick. Of course, there's been a lot of chatter, a lot of scuttlebutt in terms of what the Bears should do. There's been talk about trading Justin Fields and using this first selection on Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, if you please. And I think that's just utter nonsense.
Right.
I think when you take a good hard look at this roster over the next couple of years, it's going to look very different. You have a lot of young players, the guys that we figured would be cornerstone pieces to this organization, and it very well may be the case. The IEs, the Cole Kmets, the Darnell Mooney, so on and so forth. Those guys their contracts are coming to an end after 2023. So we're talking extensions already. Jalen Johnson, I would imagine, will be back, but the Bears have a lot of cap room, well over 100 million. I just don't know that, going back to the drawing board at the quarterback position. I'm a huge Justin Fields fan, by the way. They haven't done him, any favors as far as the supporting cast, whether it be the weapons, the offensive line, whatever the case may be. So, again, utter foolishness from that perspective. What the Bears need to do is turn this first overall pick into multiple picks over the course of the next two drafts, right? They need to get a king's ransom for this because there's a couple quarterbacks at the top of this draft that I think several teams, about four different teams, covet. So it is incumbent upon the Bears to make a quality move, get multiple, day one, day two picks over the course of the next two drafts, 2023 as well as 2024, in order to maximize having the first overall selection in the 2023 draft. So with that being said, we're not making any trades. I'm not making any trades because, of course, we're not making any trades. And I'm going to go with our top overall prospect to this point, and that's going to be Jalen Carter. Right, the Chicago Bears, they have issues along the front seven, and of course, I went on and on about the supporting cast for Justin Fields. I just don't know that there's a player worthwhile here at the top of the draft. So I'm gonna bolster that front seven in Chicago, Drew.
Yeah, I can't blame you for it. You seen him in the championship game. I mean, that's what you're looking for. He played some fullback too and blocked three people. I just want to put that out there. If you didn't see that clip, it's ridiculous. I find it throw it up as a short on the site. But anyways, on the YouTube channel. But I got Houston and Lovey got fired because they don't hold the number one pick anymore. I'm not sure what was Houston going to do with it. They're going to pick a quarterback, right? I guess they don't want anybody to jump in front of them and get their guy.
Yeah, it's opened things up, but that's a whole different situation. The whole Lovey situation, to me, that's completely different. I don't think Lovey was going to be back.
I don't think so either. No,
Lovey was a fall guy, man.
Listen. The only way
I'm no Lovey fan, but he was a fall
I'm not either. Listen, the only way Lovey was going to keep his job is if they made the playoffs. Even if they lost one and done, it was the only way they was going to make the playoffs. They were in a bad division. Even in that bad division, Houston never had a chance, right?
Right.
So to me, I don't know why you take that. You know what? We ain't going there. We're not going there. Maybe he was a shot in the dark and he was like, hey, if I can get this thing going, I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to go Bryce Young, do the right thing, need a quarterback. I know people are talking about his height and his weight and stuff. People get weird about the quarterback position, height, weight, age. Like, people get real weird about that stuff. It's just, can he play? Yeah, he checks all the boxes, bro. Right. What's the discussion? You know what I'm saying in terms of the quarterback position? Bryce Young all day, man. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
I think that's an easy one. I think that's an easy one, and that very well could be the player that teams are jockeying for with the first overall pick.
Yep.
And as I mentioned before, Chicago needs to maximize that. Don't concern yourself about the quarterback position because you go ahead and use that first overall pick on the quarterback and try to recruit value for Justin Fields. You still got a lot of work to do around that player. And I think it's just a better use of the draft capital to turn it into more draft capital at the end of the day, right? We got a question here from Jake. Any words with Stroud and Addison still on declare watch? I'm not worried. I'm not worried per se. I think these NFL teams should be worried. You know what I mean?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Somebody like the Colts,
Especially like the Colts, teams that are looking for that quarterback, because I think it's a very different landscape if CJ Stroud's not in this draft class at the quarterback position. I think we're better at the top than we were a season ago, but then we're kind of looking at that situation where there's a lot of question marks. Now, with that being said, they're going to be organizations that really love Will Levis. You know what I mean? There may be an organization or two who have Will Levis at the top of their board. I don't necessarily agree with it, but there's that. And then, of course, there's the wild card of Anthony Richardson and his skill set, right? When you see the good, when you see the flashes, it's really impressive. But there's work to be done there. So whether or not you have the infrastructure in order to accommodate an Anthony Richardson is a different conversation. I think CJ Stroud, really answered a lot of questions during the UGA game. And I think he's in the conversation for quarterback one, where it's been, pretty much default has been Bryce Young, with the outlier being Will Levis because of the measurables and the traits. But CJ Stroud is to me squarely in the conversation. I think this is the year. I think Stroud has a decent shot at being the first quarterback selected overall, considering his stature. So, that being said, we got the Arizona Cardinals on the clock here, and they have a lot of work to do. But I wanted to ask you a question before I went into this pick, Drew. Do you know who led the Arizona Cardinals in sacks a season ago, or rather, just this season?
This past season?
Yes, this past season.
Is it the guy that's retiring?
Yes.
Okay.
That it would be that same guy, JJ Watt. He ended up with double-digit sacks. You know what I mean? This 5 years from now, he'll be in Canton.
Yep.
Incredible player. Obviously, he was a good acquisition, although it just didn't come together. The Cardinals always had injuries. Hard reset, it appears. Maybe not a hard reset, soft reset. They did move on from Cliff Kingsbury. Steve Keim is taking a sabbatical. So that brain trust, the Trinity, is going to look a little bit different. You know what I mean? We anticipate Kyler Murray, obviously, having signed the big contract, being the trigger man, but that's it. We're looking at a different head coach, different coaching staff, as well as a different head of the front office. And with the question marks in terms of what they're losing as far as JJ Watt, because he paced them. I think the next closest guy had maybe 5.5 sacks. He had 12.5, if I'm not mistaken. We got to go Will Anderson. We talked about Will Anderson. We talked about, whether or not he'll be able to maintain that top billing. And he could very well be the first player off the board, assuming no one trades up for a quarterback. Like I said, Jalen Carter is just edging him out as a top prospect in this draft class. So I think the Cardinals would be thrilled with Will Anderson third overall.
Real quick, too, about the Stroud-Addison question from Jake. I think Stroud should come out, although I don't know, because I'm thinking about the quarterback class next year, and I think the number one quarterback will be Caleb Williams. So unless he thinks he's gonna end up on a team that's just gonna be poor, like the Bears did with Justin Fields, maybe he stays and takes his chances for next year in terms of who he might end up with, because I think he still will end up being the second quarterback taken in that scenario, barring an injury or it's a terrible season. And then for Addison, man, is it the NIL money along with they should have a stick over there at USC? He's got to fix
another
the
year with
defense.
Caleb. The thing about Addison had the injury.
He did.
That
too.
kind of derailed. I wouldn't say derail, but certainly diminished his star to a certain degree. But I, as deep as we think this class is, there's a lot of volatility in terms of who think is receiver one. CB Jim Headley thinks Addison is the man. You know what I mean? And I think he ends up being selected in the first 20 picks. So I'm not sure. Maybe just they didn't like the way that season ended. You know what I'm saying? They took the beat down by Utah. They lose to Tulane in the bowl game, and you know what I'm saying? Maybe they just want to run it back. And of course, to your point, the NIL money out there changes the landscape of things. Absolutely. Yeah.
Jake, I like the Colts for them. I don't like anybody with the Texans, to be honest.
The Texans is rough. The Texans is rough.
They got work to do, and I don't know if I trust that owner and all that other stuff. But Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and grab CJ Stroud here. I was gonna put a little bit more on it. I was gonna scroll down to my guy, but as we spoke in the previous draft that we did when I was doing NFC, he'll be there for the taking at some point. So we'll go ahead and get CJ Stroud for the Colts. They can't do anything. Of all the teams between them and the Texans, it has to be a quarterback. There's no question about what needs to be done. Quarterback.
Lock it up.
Yep.
No, I hear you, and I agree with that. I think the AFC South, the three of the four teams have considerable question marks at the quarterback position, and the Colts and the Texans are in the best position to go get their franchise guy. So certainly understand the pick there. So through the first four picks, we have Jalen Carter, Bryce Young, followed by Will Anderson, and then most recently CJ Stroud. I'm on the clock here with Seattle. As you can see, Seattle has 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. Of course, they got that King's ransom for Russell Wilson, and they're in the catbird seat. I think I wouldn't rule out Seattle trying to, make a way in order to get their quarterback. They may rest on their laurels. They bring Geno back. I think they bring Geno back regardless of what they do. But Geno is slated to be an unrestricted free agent. There's no quarterbacks under contract for 2023 in Seattle to this point. So that's something to keep your eye on. And certainly as we're doing trades, we may see some changes. We may see Seattle get aggressive in terms of getting their long-term answer, unless, of course, they believe Geno is the guy. I think Seattle could stand to improve at corner, pair up, that really impressive rookie Tariq Woolen with a guy like Christian Gonzalez, who we like a lot here at Couch Potato General Manager. They certainly can address the down line. The question mark is the value, right? There's some really intriguing edge players. They're looking like they're becoming more of a 3-4 here, and that may be here to stay. So I'm a probably perhaps break tendency a little bit here. Is a player I really, really like. I think he's going to be. I think he was an excellent college football player, but I think he could be even better, more disruptive at the pro level. We call him the line of scrimmage discriminator. I'm gonna go with Brian Brzee with the 5th overall pick. Might be a little too soon. Might be a little too rich for certain folks, but I'm comfortable with it. And they need to be a little bit more. They got to be more stout up front. I think they have talent at the edge, right? I think between Darryl Taylor and Boye Mafe, they got a Chindu Nwosu gets after the quarterback. I think they have enough talent there. They can stand to get better. But for this pick in particular, going with Brian Brzee.
Yeah, I like Brian Brzee. I think it's a good fit for the Seattle defense. And I think for those who don't know Brian Brzee, I think you're going to hear about him as the draft content or the draft gets closer and closer. I think you're going to hear his name a lot more. And I think he's going to have a really good combine, to be honest with you.
All right. Appreciate the kind words, Addie. Addie says she likes the content.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the love.
We got the Detroit Lions, and as you can see, they also have 4 selections in the first 2 rounds here. They need to improve the defense, and I just want to go and put it on record. I said it back in July of 2022. I don't think Detroit's going to be in a position necessarily to draft a quarterback, and I don't mean in terms of where they're drafting, but because of the quarterback play. You know what I mean? Jared Goff had a terrific season. Make no mistake about it. I think the fact that he is playing at a pretty high level gives Detroit a lot of flexibility in this draft, right? Not having to force the issue at quarterback. They're a young, explosive offense. They're going to be better next year, assuming they stay healthy. They just need to continue to add pieces to that defense, and they can do so at every level. But in this case, I want to pair Aiden Hutchinson with a guy that's kind of similar in terms of the length, right, and the ability to put his hand in the ground as well as stand up. I'm gonna go with Myles Murphy here to the Detroit Lions with the 6th overall pick.
Myles Murphy.
Yes, sir.
I ain't mad at it. All right, so next up we got the Las Vegas Raiders, the Josh McDaniel Raiders. I mean, I guess it has to be quarterback, right? Derek Carr gone. He out of there. Maybe going to be traded. I see a lot of stuff talking about Brady's going to end up over there with the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know how true that is, but I guess we'll see.
I mean, it's an intriguing landing spot, right? Because of Devontae Adams. That's about it. That's the way I look at it.
This is true.
You want to throw the ball to Devontae Adams? I think most guys would, but yeah, that situation's a little rough. It's a little rough.
Right.
But it is time to move on, and clearly, their decision to ultimately bench Derek Carr, and Derek Carr took his ball and went home.
Sure.
It needs to be done.
Literally.
It's time. It's time.
What's more important for this team, man? This football team, a guy who can tackle on defense at anywhere, any level of the defense, or the quarterback. I think
the quarterback position, obviously, because of course they touch the ball on every play. They have a lot of work to do. That's just the bottom line. It's just the bottom line. It's a question about your level of confidence in the Will Levises and the Anthony Richardsons of the world at this point. That's really what it comes down to at this juncture.
You know where I want to go, man.
I know where you want to go. Do it. They might beat you up for it, but hey, stick to your guns. Conviction.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna say Jaren Hall. I'm gonna go Jaren Hall, bro. I know Raider fan is probably mad. That's fine. We could talk about it. Hit me down in the comment section. It's a guy you're not really hearing about. I don't know why, but I'm gonna tell you, you should be hearing about him as it gets closer to the draft. He is not Zach Wilson. He's from BYU. I understand that, but he's not Zach Wilson. He doesn't turn the football over. He stands in the pocket, makes the throws that you want, and he's got ball placement, man. So, and he's athletic, so he can get outside the pocket, extend plays, do all those things. But he is actually my quarterback too. I just want to put that out there. Stroud kind of caught up, and I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna look at some things and evaluate. But right now, I'm gonna say Jaren Hall is my number 2. But I went with Stroud because recency bias. I'm gonna give him the recency bias in terms of the second quarterback off the board. We're going Jaren Hall with the third pick here in terms of quarterbacks to the Raiders, man.
I mean, obviously, if you've seen our content before, you probably are familiar with Drew's penchant for Jaren Hall. He's a big supporter of Jaren Hall, and Jaren Hall is a good player. I don't want to suggest that he isn't. The question then becomes value.
Right.
But Drew has always maintained that you go get your guy, and that's exactly what he did here. So let him know in the comments. Let him know how you feel about it. Let him know what he should have done.
And before you comment, because I know some people get in there because they didn't hear the name, they don't know the name, they just assume no one's talking about him. So check him out, watch the tape, and then come in and let's have a conversation.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that set of instructions there. We have the Atlanta Falcons, Headley's Atlanta Falcons on the clock here, and quite a few intriguing defensive players that I think could be part of the conversation. I'd like to go edge. They just struggle. They continue to struggle to get after the passer. They could certainly use some help opposite AJ Terrell on the back end. They need to add some weapons offensively. Of course, they went Drake London in the first round last year. Kyle Pitts the year before that. So I am going to go to the defensive side of the ball. The two names that are kind of standing out to me are Tyree Wilson, and of course, you don't see his name here. It makes no sense to me. But if I scroll down, BJ Ojulari is there. So, but I'm going to go with Tyree Wilson, and I'll explain to you why I'm opting for Wilson. I mean, from a traits perspective, he certainly checks all the boxes. He had a great season. The upside is enormous. It's enormous, and you may, especially with the Falcons and the fact that they have had struggles getting after the passer, you may want to mitigate risk a little bit. But I think Tyree Wilson has the ability to make everybody around him better. Not unlike BJ Ojulari. But I like D'Angelo Malone. I like Arnold Ebiketie. I like those guys taking a step next year, and it doesn't rule out adding more to the pass rush. And then, of course, Wilson can get after the passer himself. So Wilson on a down line with Grady Jarrett. I like that. I like the idea of that. And hopefully I get to hear what Headley has to say about this particular selection. All right. So that brings us to the Carolina Panthers. And Drew, I'm struggling with this one. I'm struggling with this one. I got a lot of tape, and that's Jake commenting on Jaren Hall as far as his ability to throw the ball with anticipation. Absolutely. He certainly can do that. This Carolina pick, as much draft capital as the Panthers have invested on the defensive side of the ball, there's a lot of question marks on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, the biggest question mark, the elephant in the room, is the quarterback position, right? So we've done the battery of Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield with a sprinkle of PJ Walker in there, right? It's not great. It's not great. We're gonna operate. We're gonna operate, and I don't love it. I don't love it. I want to make that very clear. I do not love it. We're gonna operate as if we didn't necessarily get that veteran to come in and be a starter in this particular mock draft. And I am gonna go with Will Levis here. I'm betting on the traits. I'm betting on some consistent quality coaching as well as a quality supporting cast. Now, I think they have a pretty good receiver room.
I think so too.
They have some question marks in the backfield, and they can stand to improve along the offensive line. Although they've made an effort to improve their Ike Ekwonu. I think Brady Christensen fits in well at guard. You probably just need to figure out that other guard position, and I think you got a fairly solid unit there. Again, I want to go on record. I don't feel great about this, but I think this is the right move, assuming we don't have that starter in tow already. All right, so that puts me back on the clock with the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles are obviously operating from a position of strength, considering what Howie Roseman has done. I'm in his ear. I'm talking to him about a few different things. We can go corner here because I'm not necessarily anticipating James Bradbury back. We'll get somebody going opposite Darius Slay. Do I want to? Can I get better around Jalen Hurts? Love what Hurts has done this year. I don't think that's necessarily the right direction here. I want to continue to have those waves and that rotation up front in terms of pass rushers and down linemen. You're getting longer in the tooth with the likes of Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. Those guys probably won't be back. You may lose another player or two in that down line group, that position group of defensive tackles and edges. So I want to bolster that. I want to bolster that. And as I'm looking at it, I got to go with our guy here, BJ Ojulari. So the slide ends at 10 for Ojulari. Again, ignore this ranking here. He's much higher on our board at Couch Potato General Manager. So BJ Ojulari comes in, and I think he becomes a difference maker immediately.
Respect. You know something. Best burst off the edge in the class.
Might be the best pass rusher. Might be the best pass rusher in the class.
Argue with a wall. No, I'm just kidding. Hit me down in the comment section.
Absolutely.
Discourse. All right, next up we got the Tennessee Titans, and we know they missed the playoffs. They lost like how many games in a row? It was terrible. They fell off a ledge. Jacksonville got them for the division, and they took it away. So, but they were devastated by injury. I think they might have been the most injured team in the league. When you look at their team, you know, it's kind of no fault of their own. It is what it is. Lost their quarterback, lost a bunch of corners and safeties and different things like that. So, you know, they were just, I think they lost a couple offensive linemen as well. So, but we're gonna go ahead and get us a Skoronski. Feels like a Gravel. 7 in a row. There it is. A tight for life says 7 in a row. I knew it was around 7. I couldn't remember 7 or 8. That's
rough.
That's rough.
That's rough.
That's one of the, you know what's crazy is as you're a Titan fan, you watch, you're like, bro, we just need one. We just need one. We just need one more win to seal this thing away.
Yeah.
And every week you're disappointed, man. I know the feeling. I'm a Bucks fan, so I know. Trust me. From back in the day. But I'm thinking I want to go receiver here. I know offensive line.
I'm not mad at it.
But I think I gotta go receiver here. I think they need some more talent in that room. You could go tight end as well, but I think tight end will be. I think there's plenty of tight ends
out there, man. What you mean? Quanquo doing his thing.
Okay, like I said. But I'm gonna take. I'm just looking at the different.
I play that Price is Right. I need the Price is Right music for
the
background.
You do.
We'll make that happen.
I think we should just put this disclaimer. You guys got to ignore the rankings because of how we're gonna pick here. Because I know Quentin Johnston is number 1 up here, but I'm gonna go my number 1 wide receiver.
Of course you are.
I feel like I'm rinse and repeat when I pick these guys because I've done this so many times.
Of course you are.
I'm gonna go Rashee Rice. I was actually watching some tape of who was I watching?
You sure? You sure? I'm about to click the
Oh
button.
no, click it. Click it.
All right.
I was watching him versus. It wasn't a good game that I was who he was going against. I think it was Cincinnati. Yeah, it was Cincinnati. It was a lot of pass interference in that game, boy. Because I know Rasheed Rife is physical and tough, especially at the catch point. He had a couple of drops. I think they got in his head a little bit with the physicality. But in college, I think you can get away with that a little bit more to let you touch the
they
guys
let you play a little bit more.
Yeah, so I think in league, it won't be as bad. But he's not a guy he's not a slouch at that. That's a part of his game in terms of being physical. So we're gonna go Rasheed Rice there from SMU, wide receiver, and then for the Houston Texans, we're gonna go ahead and go back to back receiver. We got Bryce Young as our quarterback at pick 2, and we're gonna turn around and we're gonna get him a weapon here. And I know that they have Brandon Cooks, but who knows if he'll be traded in the offseason or what that'll look like. But they need more. They need more star power at the receiver position. And we got some guys. We got Quentin Johnston, which is a big play guy. Get the ball in his hands. You got Jordan Addison, who's also a big play guy who a lot of people like. That's CPGM Headley's number 1 wide receiver. You got Jalen Hyatt, who, I mean, he exploded for the Tennessee Vols last year as well as this year. They got hurt a little bit, so it's kind of on the, I don't call him the back burner, but he was some people forgot about him. You got JSN from Ohio State, who I saw a tweet that said he's the what was it? Scouts are saying he is the only round 1 graded receiver right now.
Yeah, I believe that. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah. And he missed pretty much the entire season.
Oh yeah, that 2021 tape.
You know what I'm saying? It was that good. That Rose Bowl, one game will make you, bro. One game. I guess one game can break you and make you. I guess. No. He's a good receiver. I got a couple questions, but I'm gonna go with the big play guy. I'm gonna go with Quentin Johnston. Did I say it right? Quentin Johnston.
Moose Johnston.
Yeah, Johnston be killing me, bro. I see the T and I struggle, but big play guy. Just get the football in his hands. And he's a guy who I think if you don't get him his touches earlier, he's not a part of the game plan early. I think he's a guy who can just
and that's what concerns me about him. That's probably my biggest reservation is that he can disappear. Right. And I don't know. I got to go back to the tape and really examine it closely. I don't know if that's just TCU getting away from him. I don't know exactly what that's about, but I don't like it. I don't like it to have that kind of those physical tools. You know what I'm saying, and just kind of be non-existent at times. I didn't like it. In fact, he got off to a really slow start to this season, and then he had a run, and then kind of went quiet again. It's that hot and cold that I'm not a big fan of, especially when you have a quarterback that ultimately, gets an invite to New York for the Heisman Trophy. And it just didn't quite add up.
I'd agree. All right, next up we got the Jets. Oh, James Higgins. He said, "Hey man, I know what the next pick should be. We should go out there and get us some interior guys."
I like what James's head is at. I mean, I believe that the offensive line is the most important position group. Make it a position of strength. You know what I mean? Agreed. But I don't know if I'm going in that direction, but I like where his head is at.
So my question for Mr. Higgins, who's your quarterback? Do you believe in Zach Wilson? That would be my question. Because if you do, what you're telling me is you do, based on, or maybe it's Mike White. I don't know. Based on what you're telling me here. Because I like Osiris Torrance. Didn't give up a sack his entire college career, at least the last 2 years. So. Oh, bro, you see what he said? He said Derek Carr. How you feel about that? How you feel about that?
I don't love it.
You don't love it?
I don't love it. I personally, and I think if your offensive line is that good, particularly if Becton is healthy, AVT is he is what he is. He's terrific. Let me say it. He is terrific. And that's an excellent young 5. That's an excellent young 5 if you add Osiris Torrance and then John Michael Schmidt, whom I don't know people are talking about him enough. You know what I'm saying? You and Headley in particular comped him favorably to Tyler Linderbaum. right? So it's really interesting, but I just it's been bad, man. You know what I mean? And I don't know that Carr is going to get great coaching. It'll be interesting to see what they do in terms of offensive coordinator. It's a defensive minded team. You know, and maybe that's what you want. You want somebody who's going to kind of manage it or whatever the case may be. But I think with the quarterbacks in the AFC, as well as they play defense in New York, I think with the quarterbacks in the AFC, you have to be able to lean on your quarterback from time to time.
Right.
You know, it's going to be a better supporting cast. Maybe it's enough, but I don't know, man. I that's a tough pill to swallow, and that is a true indictment of Zach Wilson. If Carr is your quarterback, that's just my opinion. It's my opinion.
Making this tough for me because the Jets didn't need like a superstar at quarterback to make the playoffs this year. Like they needed somebody that was just, not going to turn the football over, throw it to the open guy, go through the reads appropriately, and get the football out on time, man. And I know I see Jake there saying it's AR to the should be to the Jets, but I don't know. To me, I don't know if he'll be ready. I don't think he should have left school personally. I think he should have stayed one more year, stuck it out. He just needs to play more football, right?
Right.
I think he should have done it in college and not in the league. Going to a big market that is New York, that was a concern from Headley in terms of Zach Wilson, right? Yeah. Now I think it's a little bit different with Anthony Richardson, just in terms of, just that those lights. It's just much bigger, and you got all the talent in the world. Just can you put it all together? Like we've seen bits and pieces of it. We've actually seen it in a couple of plays. In terms of putting it all together with the athleticism and getting the ball down the field and all that. Maybe we've seen it in a couple of drives, but I just haven't seen it enough, man. But the talent is there, man. He's oozing. He's probably the most talented. He might be the most talented player in the draft. It's just that you don't see it all at once enough and consistently, right?
Sure.
But if you were able to shore up this offensive line and go ahead and get you a Osiris Torrance, come back and get you a John Michael Schmitz, and you have a Carr. No excuses. No excuses. No excuses.
I think Jets fans are going to be disappointed, man.
With
Carr. Yeah, like I said, I don't disagree with the notion of bolstering the offensive line. I love it. Right. I love it. People get bored with that. I think people don't understand how important the quality offensive line is. They just simply discount it from time to time. But Carr makes the easy stuff look hard. He really does. And I think from the perspective of Jets fans, and James is saying it right here, 7 wins with the worst quarterback in the NFL. Like it can't get worse. I will concede that. I will concede that. The overall quarterback play probably is not going to be worse, but you're going to be frustrated with Derek Carr. That's just the point that I'm making. That's just the point I'm making. What direction do you go in here?
Oh man, I had it locked in. So you said your last little piece there, man.
You got to do it. You got to do it. So the thought process is that you get incremental, better play. Perhaps I don't think you're going to get. I don't think you're going to win 12 games with Derek Carr. I don't think that's happening. Despite how good your defense is,
I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson, and here's why: because of the teams in the AFC and what you got to get through. The Chiefs, if the Broncos ever get it together in terms of getting the right coach and getting Russell Wilson's head screwed on right. You have, the Chargers. I mean, if they get a coach or if they, ever put it together all at once, you got the Bengals, you got the Ravens, assuming Lamar comes back. Like you got a hill to get over. It's not easy over there in the AFC. Plus you got the Bills in your own division, right? So, and Miami's coming, right? So it's just, I need somebody that's going to be special, and Carr ain't special. Not in the way we need him to be special at the quarterback position. So I'm gonna go with Anthony Richardson, and we'll run it behind him.
All right.
He'll get you 10. Hey, Carr get you 10. I'm not gonna deny you that. But is he gonna get you past the Bills? Is he gonna get you past the Chiefs? Is he gonna get you past the Bengals? Richardson may not get you there now. He may not get you there today, but he might get you there tomorrow. And days after that, weeks after that, months after that.
And my thought process is that the Jets can still go quarterback. Even if they do bring in a veteran like Carr, you can still go quarterback, right?
Right.
Like I said, I love the idea of doubling down and shoring up the offensive line. You know what I mean? And
Right.
if by some chance you end up with Aaron Rodgers or something like that, absolutely,
Right.
I wouldn't give it a second thought. But if my starter in 2023 is Derek Carr, I think with one of those first two, picks, whether it be day one or day two, I think you need to think about quarterback because
Yep.
that to me signals Zach Wilson is done. That's
Yeah.
ultimately that's what it does. And you think you're ready to, you're good enough to go now. You can compete with just about anybody. So that's kind of my thought process. I got a bad feeling about Derek Carr, man. I really do. I really do. It's when you are 9, 10 years in and you still have mechanical issues, that doesn't bode well. That doesn't bode well, man. Regardless of what's around you, you're not a uber talented, athletic freak or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You and the other thing that really gets me with him is pre-snap. Pre-snap, Carr struggles. If it's not clear to him, right? He rarely
Right.
puts his team in a better play. I just there's just elements of the game that from the neck up, Carr struggles too much for my liking.
It's
So,
it's an interesting conversation. I'll say the least.
hey man, I'm gonna go to bat for my guy Goff. Goff a better quarterback than Derek Carr, man. You know what I'm saying? He's a better quarterback than Derek Carr. He's won more. He's had more success. Now
Right.
you can say what you want about Oakland, Las Vegas, and the franchise as a whole, but mechanically, particularly when kept clean, Goff
Right.
is a superior quarterback.
Right.
You
I'd
know,
agree with
I
that.
I hear you, James. I'm not even knocking it, man, because the Jets defense is legit. You know what I mean? And if they're able to run the football with Brees Hall behind a quality offensive line like that, I certainly understand that you're going to be in just about every game. But when it comes down to it, and you're competing in mid late January in the playoffs, it pains me that you got to have Carr under center. That just pains me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I don't believe in it. I don't.
All right, man. I didn't know the staff was on the hot seat. Damn.
Hey,
That quick? Because it's New York, huh? I guess.
hey.
Damn. Scary stuff.
A lot of resources poured into it. You know what I mean?
This is true.
Well, you went with Zach Wilson. We talked about it.
We did talk.
I was on the Justin Fields camp, but there are people who think he should play a different position. So it's crazy. It's crazy. We got the New England Patriots up next.
Yeah, it's receiver. So is it Jordan Addison? Is it JSN? We're gonna go. We're gonna go Jordan Addison, man. We're gonna go Jordan Addison. Mac Jones needs help. Well, whoever's playing the quarterback, because I know, they like Zappy out there for New England, but also I think Mac Jones is probably the guy for them. I think they need a new offensive coordinator. Personally, I don't know why Matt Patricia's out there running the show, but that's a Belichick doing his thing.
Yeah, Belichick need to fix that post haste. Post haste. Come on, man. I know that's your guy.
Yeah,
I know that's your guy.
He can do something else,
words,
bro.
James. Appreciate those kind words, James. Really do. But yeah, the Patricia calling the offense thing.
Trash, bro.
This
Yeah, we're gonna go Jordan Addison. Yeah.
All right, Addison's the pick. Jake, talk to me. Talk to me, Jake.
You already know where Jake want to go, man.
What we doing here, Jake? I want to let the track breathe a little bit. I want Jake to weigh in on this one, being a big Green Bay fan. You know what I'm saying? I need to know his thought process. Are we anticipating Aaron Rodgers back? Are you rolling with Jordan Love? It's JSN all day.
Yeah, I knew it. I already knew it, bro.
Jake said, "Hey, we don't even need to think about it. We don't even need to think about it. Let's do it, Jake. I'm with you. You got JSN flanked by Watson and Dubs. I like it. I like it. Let's do it." All right, that puts the Commanders on the clock here. So Drew had been selecting for quite some time. I'm back in the seat, back in the saddle right here. You know what I mean? So what you thinking, Drew? What do you think about this Commanders team? I thought they played well down the stretch. You know, they didn't have Chase Young for most of the year. They get him back, of course. Duran Pay may be on the move. What would you do with this selection?
I mean, Sam Howell got his run, beat Dallas. Terrible game for Dallas. Awful. Sam
They
Howell.
said Dallas can't play on grass, man. Say they need
Well,
that fast turf.
all right. And I like Sam Howell coming out. I thought he had a
That's your
I
guy.
thought he had a decent Senior Bowl.
That's your guy.
And I like the guy who was running. Well, not the guy who was running the show in terms of Carson Wentz, but the guy who was behind Carson Wentz and Taylor
Taylor
Heineke.
Heineke. So you
Yes,
like the quarterback room.
yeah, I
You
like the
don't you
quarterback
don't you
room.
don't think it's a
Yeah,
pressing need. I don't know that there's anybody on the board here that we would select here
so,
anyway.
right,
Yeah.
right. I'm probably going cornerback, man. I think
I'm leaning in that direction as
that's an
well.
eyesore. You could go linebacker too, but I think it has to be corner because corner is the value position, if you will, and you get your pick of the litter. So I think
Yeah.
cornerback is
You
it.
know, no tackles off the board here yet either.
It's
That's
true.
a I
It's
think there
true.
probably is more of a need at guard, but they can stand to get better along the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
But to that point, with that being said, no corners off the board to this juncture. So you have your pick of the litter there. I'm with you. I'm leaning corner, especially with the Pittsburgh about to select. They could very well go cornerback or offensive tackle. They're in a catbird seat based on the way that this mock draft has kind of played itself out. I'm gonna go
Mm-hmm.
corner, and I'm gonna go with CPGM, Kyle Potato General Manager's top corner, Christian Gonzalez. And folks, if you're not familiar with his game, I suggest you turn on the tape because when you talk about the measurables and the traits, he has those in spades. He's an easy mover. He finds the football. There's very little wasted movement. You know what I mean? And that allows you to stay in phase without getting grabby, getting penalties. And I think he's just getting better and better. So Christian Gonzalez is the pick here.
Yeah, you said offensive line for Pittsburgh, and you definitely got to go there. Offensive tackle, and
They're not gonna like it though. Pittsburgh fans hate drafting an offensive lineman.
yeah,
They hate it.
But
They hate it.
you gotta come on, man. Like
I don't understand why they don't want it to be a position of strength. You got Dan Moore out there who's kind of been floundering.
It's not
Pittsburgh,
sexy. It's not
it isn't
flashy. It's
sexy.
not sexy.
Pittsburgh did improve along the offensive line, but it took about 3 months for them to start playing decently. Right. And they need better personnel. And the way I look at it is you drafted a quarterback first round last year, right? All your quarterbacks got hurt at some point, whether it be concussion, they got beat up. You know what I'm saying? That they were under fire. You struggled to run the football for most of the year. You found your running game in the last month or so, but it's just and those guys played a lot of snaps together too. So it wasn't like for a lack of continuity. They just weren't playing well because they weren't good enough.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's my thought process in terms of Pittsburgh prioritizing the offensive line. Whether they do it at 17 or 32, they need to get better up front.
I'm gonna do a little bit of an audible. I think I think you know where I'm going, but I'm gonna hit you with I'm gonna go offensive line, but I'm gonna go with this guy for a specific reason. I'm gonna go with Peter Skoronski, and I'm gonna go with him because there's a possibility he may be pushed inside because of his arm length.
Sure.
Right. But I think he could do either or. I don't think it really matters.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't work out outside, we can kick him inside and he'll be just fine. Technically sound. All I was looking for him is pretty much can he move people, right?
Sure.
Because he's good at sealing people off and turning them off and all those things in terms of opening holes. Yeah, he was moving folks. He was moving furniture this season. So I'm gonna go with Peter Skoronski for the versatility for him to push inside if need be. But we're gonna start him out off at tackle and see how that works out.
All right, so Skoronski to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought. I guess I didn't know where you were going. I thought you were going to go Joey Porter and then perhaps address the offensive line at 32. That's what I thought you were going to do.
Yeah,
that's what I thought you were going to do. Considering that the tackles have slid a little bit in this particular draft. So, but I'm gonna draft Joey Porter here with the Detroit Lions. I'm gonna get him slotted across from Jeff Okudah as I continue to tool up on the defensive side of the ball. So I like Joey Porter here to the Lions. That brings us to Drew's Bucks. And I'm gonna do it, Drew.
What you doing, bro?
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do it. I know you got to need that corner, and the board, is kind of falling nicely at the position. I've been saying for a long time that Donovan Smith is a liability at tackle. I think you have a question mark at one of your guard positions as well, but I'm ready to move on. With Tristan Wirfs having dealt with injuries the last couple of seasons, Donovan Smith, his play has been up and down. There's been times where Donovan Smith has been an above-average starter, and he's been well below at times. And the penalties and killing drives, the consistency just hasn't been there. So I'm going to go with Paris Johnson. I think Paris Johnson is probably the top tackle in this class, at least to this point in my mind. And I'm gonna go with Johnson. And whoever's playing quarterback, whether it be Brady or someone else, want to make sure that we keep them upright and open up rushing lanes. So I like Paris Johnson here to the Bucks.
I ain't mad at it, and they're gonna have to pay Tristan Wirfs. He's probably the best. He might be the best. Well, he's definitely the best right tackle in the league.
Yeah, Wirfs
by
is a
far.
monster.
So in top 5, I'd say top maybe 3 tackle overall in the league. But hey.
All right, so we got the Seattle Seahawks on the board here, and I think I can stand to improve just about every part of the defense here. I went Brian Brzee, 5th overall. Folks might think that's a little early, but I think he's a menace up front. I think like I said, we called him the offensive line discriminator. You know what I mean? As far as what he does is in terms of displacing folks, getting into the backfield, he offers something in terms of the pass rush. And with Seattle potentially moving to more 3-4 principles, odd man front, he has the flexibility to play over the center. He can play a 5 technique as an edge in an odd man front. I just think the versatility that he offers and what they need ultimately in the interior of the defensive line, I think that was a perfect fit. That brings us to the 20th overall pick, and what direction do we go in? So I'm going to ask you, Drew, what would you do here with the 20th overall pick, Seattle? With Brian Brzee in tow.
Got Brian Brzee. I was talking about, I think it was them I was talking about. No, it wasn't them. Hold on. Ooh. Yeah, you could go linebacker. I know you like their edge. I would go edge, but I know you like what they have at edge.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And there's some depth there. They got a lot of picks, and there's some depth there. So I'm not pushing the envelope just yet there.
I'm thinking it's either linebacker, receiver.
Receiver, huh? Tyler Lockett was considering retiring.
Is he? What's going on with him?
I think Lockett might be a little rejuvenated. He looks rejuvenated to me. He looks rejuvenated.
They're in the playoffs too, so all right. So we'll leave that alone. You could go interior offensive line.
Yeah. Big Osiris is there. That is definitely a thought.
I think I'm leaning linebacker.
Thinking linebacker. Yeah, they have a need there as well. But I'm not going to do it.
You're not going to do it?
I'm not going to do it. I'm actually going to do something a little off kilter here. Their secondary played well this year. I thought they got a lot of good contributions from their young players. But the last line of defense, don't get me wrong. I think there's talent there. I'm not sure what the plan is with Jamal Adams. Not sure, ultimately.
No, that they need to.
I don't know what they're doing with Jamal Adams. That's my point. And I got a guy here in Brian Branch that I think is just incredibly versatile. The football IQ there, you know what I'm saying? He makes plays at every level of the field. I think he does a great job of shoring up, especially when you have those young corners and Tariq Woolen and what he can do. I considered perhaps pairing him up and moving Kobe Bryant more into the slot. But I like Brian Branch here. I don't want him to get past me here with the 20th overall pick. So Brian Branch is the pick.
I like it, bro. I like it. When you said secondary, you said last line of defense. So I already know. Brian Branch. I like it. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars, and these boys. Yeah, we're gonna do the right thing, man. Let's not play with it. We're gonna go ahead and grab. I'm trying to be a little different today, man.
A little different today, huh?
Yeah, just a little bit different.
Switch the style up.
Keely Ringo showed up in that championship game. Well, everybody wearing red showed up. So everybody that wore red.
You heard Kirby's pregame speech, right?
I did. Listen, I run through a wall for him too, man.
I'm trying to tell you, boy. That boy's ready to play.
Right. So you got Keely Ringo, who is a twitchy athlete, physical, and he's fast, or he's supposed to be fast. I think he is fast, but doesn't necessarily want to tackle. Cam Smith, I've said it before, I'm gonna say it again. He was my number one cornerback coming into to this season. Yeah, Devin Witherspoon is a smaller guy, but he's physical. You said smooth?
Spoon. No, I said Spoon.
Oh, Spoon. Yeah. He's gonna be at the Senior Bowl, so there's gonna be some matches gonna be watching with him. I do like him a lot. I think he's my number 3 corner. You have Clark Phillips III, who has the production that you want from the position. You also got my man Emmanuel Forbes, who also has the production that you want from the position.
So you're going corner. Is it safe to say that you're going corner? You're just trying to narrow it down.
Yeah, I'm trying to narrow it down.
Okay. That's the thing about Brian Branch as well. Brian Branch could cover you slot too. You know what I mean?
Oh, that is true. That is true. You know what? I'm gonna switch it up, man. I'm gonna go Cam Smith.
All right.
I'm gonna go Smith. He can play inside, outside, physical. I likened him to I almost said
you almost said, excuse me?
Is it that? Joe Horn?
Joe Horn?
Yeah, okay. Joe Horn. Yeah. So
Joe Horn's son, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
What's I can't think of his name. When I was plays for Carolina, he was hurt this season. Horn. What's his first name? I can't think of it, man. I'm drawing a blank. Somebody hit me in the comment section. But I liken him to him, but I don't think he's as physical. I think he's a little bit more refined at the position than Joe Horn's son was or is. But I like Cam Smith a lot, so I'm gonna go Cam Smith here for the Jaguars. It's a big need for them personally, and we may find out here in the playoffs that I'm right about that.
J.C. Horn.
J.C. Horn. Dang.
Was what you're looking for.
Yeah, I was thinking Joe Horn, bro. I dated myself, man. Hey,
it's okay, man. We getting up there. We starting to.
That's the Saints.
Starting to creep up there a little bit.
He played for the Saints, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's embarrassing. Joe Horn was a character.
He was a character.
He was an absolute character. We got the G-men, the New York Giants, here on the clock, and I'm thinking about keeping this cornerback run going a little bit here. Mm-hmm. Question is, and there's some interesting names here. Those first 3 in particular on your screen are who I'm considering. I think the Giants can stand, obviously, to do something about their receiving room. Although I don't, I know they're gonna. There's probably a Jalen Hyatt hive. Really like Josh Downs and Zay Flowers, Cedric Tillman. Keyshawn Boutte are really interesting prospects as well. But I think I may be able to wait and get one of those guys. There's some expiring contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Your quarterback isn't under contract. Your running back isn't under contract. But I imagine they're going to make some decisions there, right? Even if they're kind of shorter term contracts in nature. To buy themselves some time, so I won't necessarily go there. I am going to stick with the cornerback position. Linebacker is something to consider as well. The question is Keely Ringo, Devin Witherspoon, Clark Phillips. So as you have them ranked, Drew, I imagine you have Witherspoon, and then is it Phillips or Ringo for you?
It's Phillips, and then Ringo.
It's Phillips, then Ringo.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I'm gonna.
What you doing, bro? What you doing? What you doing, bro?
So we matching up with A.J. Brown. We matching up with Devontae Smith, C.D. Lamb. You got Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. I need the attitude. I need the attitude. I think Ringo. I think people like Ringo here because of the size and the length. And you know what? Let me go Ringo. Let me go Ringo. I'm gonna go Ringo. I'm gonna go Ringo. But I gotta see if I can get another gear out of him. I think if I can get another gear out of Keely Ringo, then I think you got a special player here. But hard press passing up Devin Witherspoon and Clark Phillips for that matter.
Agreed. You say yes, Witherspoon. I see it. All right, man. Baltimore Ravens. I'm either going receiver, cornerback. He's a safety too, but that's not worth it at this point. So I like the receivers. I think this receiver class is deeper than most people realize. So I'm gonna go cornerback because it's a run on the cornerback position. Sometimes that forces teams to pivot. They may have a guy higher than higher on the board at a different position, but because there's a run on a particular position, you gotta get out, get your guy and get out, man. So it's either Witherspoon or Clark Phillips. I like Witherspoon better in the scheme that they run versus
in Baltimore.
Yeah, versus Clark Phillips. So I think it's probably better in a zone coverage. Both these guys play in the slot. Like I said earlier, Clark Phillips has the production. He's a little bit rawer than Witherspoon, in my opinion. So we gonna do Witherspoon. I got you, Jake, man. Don't worry about it. Lock it in. Lock it up.
Forsake Spoon, man. I'm already lamenting it, man. I forsaked him.
Hey, man, it is what it is. It's what happens, man.
happens.
I just want to give you kudos, Juice. I don't know if Headley said it, but I'm gonna give you kudos in terms of the Chargers drafting. Is it Jamar?
Jamar Sawyer. Sawyer.
Yeah.
Headley was a fan.
Yeah, I was a fan, just not at the tackle position.
Yeah.
Hands. But
yeah, even my guy Brandon Thorne slept on him a little bit, man. That's my guy Brandon Thorne.
Hey, man.
Slept on him a little bit, man.
Maybe he has something to prove, man. And they said, hey, because I think they were drafting him to put him inside. And then it was Slater got hurt.
But he had the reps, he had the experience.
No, he had the experience in the reps.
So with Slater getting hurt, and of course the Chargers always have a mash unit on either side of the ball. He was thrust into duty, and he acquitted himself well. So I think he could play either position. I like the idea of having him and Zion Johnson
on the inside
guard positions, though.
Yeah, I would agree. So it's receiver. I like Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt for this team. I also like Zay Flowers for this team. I'm a little apprehensive with Kayshon Boutte because I'm not sure what I'm getting, but I would like him for this team as well. But you got some tackles here, man. You got some tackles that I could grab. Slater plays left. Daywan Jones plays right. I think Harrison
Wright plays right. Yeah, Anton Harrison's still out there. There's some good players out here, man. The linemen slid. The linemen have really slid in this mock draft.
They did. They still got my man Blake Freeland out there, bro.
Second round will be interesting. It'll be real interesting, real colorful.
Oh man. Oh, let me just see what's the top player on the board. Oh, we can't do that. You know what I'm gonna do, and I don't know. Oh man, can I do it though? Drew, can you do it? Oh, I think I'm gonna do it, bro. We're gonna forego the tackle and we're gonna forego the wide receiver.
Okay.
Because I think a tackle will be there when we come back around at 56. Put my hands together and fold and
pray.
We're gonna go Drew Sanders, linebacker.
Ooh, first linebacker off the board.
Yeah, and he should be the first linebacker off the board. Period, bro. This is a guy who gives you.
Headley would agree with you. Headley would agree with you, bro.
He can give you everything at the position that you want,
and they need that.
Yes,
they need that.
Yes, and he can rush too. He can if you needed him to be an all-time rusher, he could do that too,
right? He can do that too.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the Dallas Cowboys on the clock here. The running back room could look very different Although I anticipate Jerry Jones will do something silly, and both Pollard and Elliott will remain. Elliott on a restructured deal, and Pollard deserving his chips. Don't get me wrong, but they probably should just hit a hard reset considering how deep this running back class is, and then, of course, the free agent class is really impressive as well. So, but I'm not doing that. I'm not going to push the envelope here with a Bijan or anything like that. I don't think Dallas has that luxury, even considering what's going on with the contract situation as far as the running backs are concerned. Um, I am tempted. I am tempted to address the offensive line considering the guys that have slid here. So obviously, they went offensive line in the first round last year. Young players acquitted themselves pretty well there. And Tyler Smith, Tyron Smith is back, but he's long in the tooth now. Injuries are catching up. Zach Martin has hit his share of bumps and bruises, but he's still an elite player. Terrence Steele obviously has developed well. Biotish has held his own, but they're not a dominant group, and there's question marks long term. So certainly a position group that I think is worth considering here. But I'm a kind of move in the same mindset that you're moving here, right? That we have some offensive linemen sliding. We had the big run at corner. There's a need at corner. There's a need at safety. I'm gonna go grab Clark Phillips and call it a day.
Clark Phillips off the board.
Particularly with the Bengals coming up next year, because
I was
they
going
can certainly go corner. Yep.
I was gonna scoop him, but you got him. I ain't mad at it. So let me see here. What can the Bengals use? You could use a tight end, Michael Mayer there. That wouldn't be bad value there. And I know that they went out and they did everything they could to fix their offensive line to protect Joe Burrow, and I think I don't think it's been the best, but it's certainly hasn't been as bad as it has been in years past. I think,
Sure.
You can see the improvement.
Yep. Still work to do, but yes, it's an improved group. Yeah. Osiris might be a nice little
grab.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule out moving Lyle Collins inside and grabbing a tackle.
That might be the.
I think that's where Collins should have played all this time. He's been a good tackle for most of his career, but I think he should have been playing guard. That's just my thought process
from the get go. Yeah. All right, man. We're gonna go. Anton Harrison from Oklahoma, man.
Okay.
We're gonna grab him up.
We're gonna build a wall. Yeah. Build a wall around Joe Burrow.
Yep. I want to see Mixon run a little bit more, man. But I know them boys got the weapons, so it is what it is over there.
All right, we have the Vikings on the clock here. Interesting group. I like the tackles. Christian Darrisaw, I was really high on him when he came out, and he's really coming to his own.
Yep.
Another guy that I liked, got a chance to see him in the Senior Bowl, Brian O'Neill. I know he got injured, but he's a good player as well, particularly if you're running that outside zone scheme. So feel good about that. I think we may see a change at center. Garrett Bradbury, I believe, will be an unrestricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken. They traded to acquire for Hawkinson, although I like Michael Mayer, so not going to go in that direction. Maybe a Trenton Simpson. Darius Smith getting a little longer in the tooth. What direction are you going in here with the Vikings here, Drew? Receiver is interesting.
I would probably go.
Only one pick here in the first 2 rounds, so.
Oh, so they got to get.
Yeah. They need to get this right.
Yeah.
They need to get this right.
So needs is corner. Corner is a need for sure. Edge, receiver, safety. So I'm probably going. It's either going to be receiver or what do we? You got your pick of the edge though. That's the thing.
I do.
Yeah, I'll probably go edge, bro.
Yeah, it's the most responsible thing to do. I think I think I could stand to add a weapon with healing and longer in the tooth. Osborne is good, tertiary, option, fourth option in the passing game, but they certainly could stand to get younger.
Yep.
Opposite Jefferson at receiver, I would have been all over Michael Mayer had it not been for Hawkinson's emergence in this Vikings offense. Kirk Cousins obviously has an affinity for him.
Nice trade.
I am thinking I have considered Trenton Simpson here. That is a player that I would consider, but I think you can never have enough guys who can affect the passer. And a guy like Nolan Smith, not only does he have the ability to affect the passer, but he's tremendous at setting the edge and great run defender. So I'm gonna go with Nolan Smith. I'm gonna go with Nolan Smith here.
Nolan Smith, I think he's coming out. Is it a peck? Is it a peck?
I believe it's a peck. It's a peck, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, outstanding edge, excellent run defender. Yeah, I like Nolan Smith a lot. Hoping to see a little bit more in terms of his pass rush, but they hate it. Georgia hate it.
Appreciate that, Steven. Really do appreciate the Steven, man. Thanks for checking us out.
Yeah, let's see here.
Yeah, we're a little unorthodox.
A little different.
a little unorthodox.
A little different.
We see it a little bit differently.
We like mayo in our coffee.
Oh man, I'm not with that.
You're not with that?
Let me tell you. Let me tell you something. Though. Let me tell you what I am with though, and this is probably a cultural thing. This is probably just a cultural thing. I'm from the Virgin Islands, so we don't do cream cheese like that. You know how people put cream cheese on a scone and all that? I'm not with that. I like cheddar cheese on a bagel.
You like cheddar cheese?
Yes, bro. You melt that on a bagel, bro?
Nah,
change your life. Hey, try that. The cream cheese, the schmear and all that, man, that's all okay. That's okay. But when you put that cheddar, that sharp cheddar, you melt that on your bagel, on your onion, bruh.
Don't let him tell you that,
man. Y'all
that crazy talk.
You want to think outside the box? It's not really outside the box for me, but the contiguous 48, it might be a little outside the box. Cream cheese, I'm telling you, cream cheese ain't got nothing on it, man.
Ain't got nothing on
that
it.
Being said, enough of that. Let's get back into this mock draft.
With Denver, we're gonna go ahead and do the right thing. We're gonna get offensive tackle. Go ahead and get your boy Broderick Jones out of Georgia.
Yeah, that's a slam dunk, right?
But here's the thing, though. I think Sean Payton's gonna happen in one of two places. Denver seems to be the biggest talk, but I think that may be a ploy by his agent just to, stir up some things for other teams to rush in there. And I think the other team, if they're one and done, would be the Chargers. I think that's the team he actually wants. Is that team? To be honest, with you.
When you think about the roster, and then you in LA,
you
know what I'm saying? That's I can understand that.
But Denver may not have this pick. Denver may not have this pick when it's all said and done, but we'll see what happens. But we're going to go Broderick Jones here.
All right.
Protect Russell Wilson, who's struggling in his own right.
On the clock.
All right, man. Buffalo, we're going to do it every time these boys pick.
You are.
I mean, the only other selection that the Buffalo could make here would is to go linebacker or maybe. Yeah, could be.
You know what?
Linebacker or interior offensive line. But
I don't disagree with you. But I think your boy has had his best season of his career this year. Evans. Milano's a baller. Milano's a baller.
But are they going to sign him back?
No. That's still a question mark.
You know what I mean?
That's still a question mark whether or not they're willing to pay him big money.
Right.
But he's been a difference maker for them this year, and I was very critical of him going into the 2022 season, and he's played much better. He's played with more awareness than he has at any point in his career.
I'm thinking about.
Let's try to get a man a little love. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he's going to be back in Buffalo though.
Yeah, because we was poo-pooing on him, but I'm thinking about going Osiris Torrance, man, because I know them boys.
I like it. They need to. Especially as much as they like to throw the football, they need to.
But can you pass up Bijan though? I think you can. You know why? Because you got a Jamar Gibbs waiting on you.
That's true.
And that's not a bad consolation prize.
You got guys waiting.
You do that.
You got guys, bro.
We're gonna go Osiris.
Let's do Osiris. I like this pick.
But then
it'd be painful to pass up Bijan, but I like this selection.
Let me ask you something though. You go Osiris here. Mm-hmm. Kansas City's right behind you, right? Mm-hmm. They grab Bijan.
I mean, you
gave him away. You gave him away,
bro. You gotta keep Josh Allen right.
You got to.
Don't get me wrong. Bijan Robinson can help keep Josh Allen right. Don't get me wrong, but I don't hate the idea of Osiris Torrance there as a Buffalo. They need to get better on their offensive line, I think. It's a lot of backs. A lot of backs.
It is a lot of backs. But yeah, you're right. All right, so here it's either Isaiah Foskey, it could be Ozuma, and I think, and is it Nudike? I don't know if I said it right.
Yeah.
Nudike, Ozuma.
Yeah. Stop playing like you're not gonna draft Thule. Stop it.
Listen, well, listen. It's a lot here, man. Yeah, Jake's right. I mean, even though Donald Wright is, yeah.
There's a question at right tackle.
It is, man. Listen,
question at right tackle. I think they got. I know they drafted your boy last year. His name is escaping me, Purdue. But you got to make sure that you have those pass rushers as well.
You do. Damn, this is tough, bro. It's a good problem because you have kind of what you want here. You got the top running back. You got really, really good edge players, and you got a nice right tackle. I love Darnell Wright. He's probably, let me think, of all the right tackles here, I think he's the top right tackle. I don't know if I can pass him up, bruh.
Yeah, man. I was very impressed even by the Lions this year. And I said at the top of this broadcast, Jared Goff, I went on record about a year ago, year plus, even after the Stafford trade, first year in Detroit. I consider myself the last Jared Goff apologist. I think Goff confidence was just shot, man. I don't think McVay did anything for his conference there as things were kind of winding down.
Mm-hmm.
That roster wasn't quite as good as they had been previously, and he went to a young team that had a quality offensive line, and he lit it up, man. They got back to playing play action. Jared Goff was terrific this year, man, and it to me it doesn't come as any great shock. I think a lot of Lions fans may have been, kind of, okay, he's just kind of a bridge guy, that was kind of the thought process about it. But I really believe that Goff was going to play his way into, being the captain of that ship.
Right.
And I said it earlier in this year, outside of perhaps Bryce Young, kind of staring you in the face, I'm sticking with Goff, man. You got other areas of the team that you can stand to improve.
And at the end of the day, for all intents and purposes, the Lions probably should have made the playoffs, but they didn't lose any games because of the quarterback position.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, I'm not going receiver. I hear you. There's a lot of receivers. Not going receiver. We're going to go Darnell Wright.
Oh, okay. Darnell Wright.
Okay. Go ahead, man.
All right. Darnell Wright finds his way to the first round, bottom of the first. He helped himself a lot this year.
And he's going to the Senior Bowl. He's going to help himself a lot more.
Dawan Jones out there, man. You don't like Dawan Jones? Right.
No, I think Darnell Wright's he's a better mover.
Okay. But particularly for what the Chiefs want to do, particularly for what they want to do.
And Jones is that's a massive guy, bro. That's a man amongst boys. Not that Darnell Wright's small or anything, but
yeah, I'm with that. I'm not outside I'm not beyond the idea of adding a quarterback there in Detroit.
Right.
You just don't have to force the issue, right?
Right.
And yes, system matters for quarterbacks.
Yep.
You got to put them in position to be successful. You know what I'm saying? That's what coaching is about. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, man. I think all teams need to invest in that second quarterback. And quarterbacks, even though you can't really touch them, they seem brittle as ever because they don't get hit anymore. Right. So yeah, you want at some point to have competent play in that room beyond the starter. You know what I'm saying? I think Philadelphia. I went BJ Ojulari. They could certainly use a corner. We could go back to the defensive line. We could address the second level of the defense, corner and safety. A question mark. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They need to figure out how to get him back signed. That's my thought process there. I'm gonna do it, Drew. I'm gonna do it. I think the only running back that they have under contract is Kenneth Gainwell. I think Miles Sanders is slated to be a free agent, as well as Boston Scott. They may have Trey Sermon, whom they traded for, but he hasn't seen the light of day. I'm gonna go Bijan Robinson, man. The rich get richer here in Philadelphia. I think because of the nature of their team and what Howie Roseman has done, it puts
Right.
him in a unique situation here to grab Bijan Robinson, who does it all. You know what I mean? And now we're talking about one of the better offensive lines with quality tight end, excellent receivers, an ascending quarterback, and Bijan, excuse me, in the backfield.
I think Bijan ends up one of three teams. It's going to either be, and it's the three teams that just passed. It's either Buffalo, KC, or Philadelphia. It's one of those three. He's not going to pass one of those, whomever, at whatever point. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So I'm in Howie's ear. I'm in his ear.
Yo.
Right. I told him go get BJ Ojulari. Stop playing. Right. And we're gonna go get Bijan. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think Howie would pass up Trent Simpson because he doesn't draft linebackers in the first round, right? So certainly a departure from what Howie Roseman typically would do, but I couldn't pass it up.
And what's that draft class with Dalvin and them boys?
Oh, 2016.
Yeah, he's better than everybody in that class.
Oof. Yeah, big Brad Holmes fan over here as well. Big fan. Yeah, your boy Campbell, he deserves a lot of credit. Yeah, I like what they're doing. It just when they made that hire, you know what I'm saying? When they made that hire and decided to bring in Campbell with Brad Holmes, I just got a sense that they were on to something there in Detroit. You know what I mean? And it's come together here quickly. Going back to the Philadelphia pick, like I said, probably not. I tend to agree. Bijan Robinson. I keep on saying BJ Robinson. Bijan Robinson. It would be a departure from what Howie Roseman typically does. But again, considering the structure of the roster, the value, you get that extra, the 5th-year option. You may decide you don't want to extend him long term, but you can get potentially 5 years out of him on a rookie deal. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. See that? Can't pass up Bijan, aka Christian McCaffrey. There you have it. There you have it. Man, so now you got to deal with the zone read with Hurts and Bijan. And then off of that, I got Devontae Smith and AJ Brown with Dallas Goedert. Come on, man. Come on, stop playing. Deep running back class, though. Certainly don't have to go in that direction. But like I said, couldn't pass it up. And I don't know if it was you, Steven, who mentioned that previously, but I've heard that a couple of times with Robinson being a sleeper for the Lions. And I think it just depends on how the draft board ultimately, falls. I don't think they would select him in the first round. I think you just have too many talented players at positions of need, of more need on the defensive side of the ball. So I wouldn't necessarily. I think day 2, if by some chance Bijan Robinson were to fall into day 2, which I do not anticipate, then he would be in play. But I think you're going to have a very easy time pairing somebody up with DeAndre Swift. This class is deep, and the free agent class is deep. So I don't think you have any issue finding a running mate for Swift.
So my question would be, one, what's going on with Swift, first of all? Because there you go. He had the injuries. Okay. Because he cost me my fantasy season. Okay, I just want to put it out there. Along with Keenan Allen, a couple more players. But then my second question would be, what was my second question? I forgot my second question. It'll come back to me. But I'm gonna keep. It's about the Lions. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to him. But Pittsburgh. Ooh, I'm gonna do something different here, man. Yeah, he know what's up.
So you got Skoronski.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about corner.
Eli Ricks. Or
Forbes. I would go Forbes over him. You could go Garrett Williams, who was hurt.
Garrett Williams was hurt
because he's supposed to be one of the top corners. Just he ended up getting hurt. So what are you getting there? You still got Travius Hodges Tomlinson.
That's your guy.
That is my guy.
Julius Brents.
Caillou out here. He's a little limited. Julius Brents. A lot of people like him.
Yep.
And I think he's going to blow up the combine, to be honest with you. But we'll see what that looks like. But I think for the Pittsburgh Steelers, bro, I could go back to the offensive line.
You could. They'll hate you for it, but you could.
No, I'm not gonna do that. They're gonna hate me for a different reason. Because I'm gonna grab
Trent
I'm gonna
Simpson. Trent Simpson.
no
I
no
think
no.
I think they need to address the second level too.
No, I'm gonna go Derek Hall, bro.
Mm.
I'm gonna
Okay.
because I think he gives you best of both worlds in terms of a good pass rusher or a guy who can play in space. He's kind of he was the moving piece within that Auburn defense. Him and Kobe Wooden. Those guys balled out, and 29 was all over the place, bro. You couldn't miss his number, man.
I have nothing against the player. I think Derek Hall's a fantastic player. I would go Trenton Simpson in this case. I think the way Highsmith played this year,
You ain't a fan?
I don't. Those are my guys. Those are my edges right there. You know what I'm saying? And I know you
I
can
got
move
you.
Derek Hall a bit more,
That's what I'm
but
saying. That's what I'm saying.
I know you can move him around. I know there's some flexibility that he offers, but I would go Trenton Simpson. But Derek Hall's your pick.
Yeah, that's my pick. Next up, we got the Houston Texans.
There's a player here. I'm interested to see which direction you go in, but there's a player here that I think you gotta take.
I gotta take
him. I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Well, we're gonna see. We got Bryce Young with the second pick overall. Then we went and got a receiver for
Bryce Young. Yes, sir.
And let me see if I can find what you're talking about.
Oh, he right there.
Oh, it's like that. You're right there.
You're right there. Staring you right in the face.
Let me just think about it for a second.
And Jake is reading my mind as we speak. Young Johnson and Mayer, let's do it.
Hold on.
Let's do it, Drew.
Pause. Put the brakes on. Let me think about it for a second. Let it marinate.
Don't think long.
Gotta stir it up.
Don't think long. You think wrong, man. I think that's it right there, man.
All right, we'll do it.
Let's do it.
Do it, man. Let's
do
it.
Michael Mayer. That's a hell of a start to the rebuild right there in Houston. Bryce Young, Quentin Johnson, Michael Mayer. Absolutely.
First rounders all around.
All around. So we got the Cardinals on the clock here. We're anticipating DeAndre Hopkins being on the move, right? Of course, Will Anderson, JJ Watt, Swan Song did it again, double-digit sacks. There's some young players, Cameron Thomas, Majai Sanders, that I like, but they certainly needed more teeth in terms of their pass rush, and they need some help on the down line as well. I could actually go back to the well from that perspective. I need a guard, Drew. I need a guard here in Arizona. I really want to shore it up. I could probably use a tackle too. You got Daewon Jones, Cody Mauch out here. John Michael Schmitz. I don't need a center. Go
you Andrew Voorhees.
And he's actually an interesting one.
He's actually played all over the line. He's played all over the line.
Yeah, he's an interesting one. It's funny what they have kind of going at linebacker. Although I think those guys are kind of playing out of position a bit there. What you think about receiver? What you think about receiver here? If Hopkins is on the move,
if he's on the move, I like Cedric Tillman for what he's done for Tennessee and what he can do for the Cardinals. How I feel about Butte. I think Zay Flowers is. I think Tillman, Flowers, and Hyatt all could be receiver one. I think they have the potential. I think Butte can be, but just kind of I don't know. It's a question mark. How I feel about question marks. I think Josh Downs is a pure number one receiver. I think you can't go wrong with Hyatt, Flowers, or Tillman. I'm higher on Tillman than I am on Hyatt, but I think people like Hyatt's speed, his downfield or downfield ability, but
right.
I'm higher on Tillman.
I don't know why you move off Hopkins. Is it a financial thing? Is it what's going on there? Why move off of Hopkins?
I don't think they're gonna move off of Hopkins.
You use the first round pick to acquire Hollywood Brown. You use the second round pick for Rondell Moore. Like, Yes, if Hopkins is on the move, then receiver is something that you have to consider here, right?
Right.
Particularly considering who's on the board. But I just don't understand why they would move on from him. Yeah, Dorian Williams is a guy that we certainly are going to have our eye on. We'll actually be in Mobile, Stephen, that week. So
Well,
just check in with us. We'll have daily content coming from the Senior Bowl. I'm looking at Siaki Ika and Tuli. I really want to bolster that down line and allow the guys at the second level to just kind of fly around and make plays. Like I said, we got Will Anderson. Ika is a man amongst boys, and with
yep.
teams, leveraging more gap schemes and things of that nature. Somebody to consider, although they run a lot of zone concepts in the NFC West. Tuli has a lot of flexibility as well. He can play my 5 technique, can play
Yep.
defensive tackle, can
Yep.
stand up. You know what I mean? So that's a guy that I'm considering here. But I wanna plug up. I want to plug up this run game. I'm gonna plug it up. Plug it up. Plug it up. Let's go Siaki Ika.
Okay. Man can play we're gonna be out here two gapping. I don't know if you're gonna two gap for them boys, but
yeah, but we're gonna do something. We're gonna plug gaps. The A gap. Consider that a no go.
No go.
Consider that a no go. And I think he can get to the B gap as well.
All right, man. So we got the Colts. And with our first pick, we went out and got CJ Stroud. It's assuming he comes back, right? And
he's actually coming out, yeah.
Oh, coming out. Excuse me, coming back, coming out. And so, boy, say that a need is tackle, and I know they went out and they got your boy Raymond Bernhard. Who was
Ryman.
Yeah, Bernhard. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
From
German fella.
A German fella. That was out. He was actually out there at the Senior Bowl last year.
Yeah.
And he was out there. Good old Colts, bro. It's good old Colts. The receivers real quick. I don't necessarily think receiver is an issue for them, assuming everybody's coming back. Let's do this, man. I think I'm going to grab. Let's go tackle. I'm going to go tackle.
All right.
I'm going to go Blake Freeland. I'm grabbing all these guys from BYU, and people are going to be like, bro, what's why you keep going to BYU, man?
BYU.
I like Blake Freeland. I think he is a dancing bear out there on the edge. I think that he has good hands, great feet, and he was moving furniture as well. That's past season.
Yeah, that's correct. We're getting close here to the deadline. Blake Freeland, I mean, going into the 2022 season, I think he was your top tackle, right?
Yep.
So other guys have emerged, obviously, and then we have some underclassmen that obviously are part of the conversation now. So things have changed, but I don't think that's bad value at all. You know what I mean? And that Colts offensive line took a step back this year. Hopefully they get back to playing, at a higher level and get Jonathan Taylor to that second level so he can do his damage. You know what I mean? I am gonna have a little bit of a conundrum here. This is the Rams' sole pick on either day 1 or day 2. The Rams obviously, they sold their soul. It did result in a Lombardi Trophy, but they have some work to do here to rebuild. I was watching them in week 18, and they look slow defensively up front. No Aaron Donald in the lineup. Jalen Ramsey had a hell of a game, but like Bobby Wagner looked like, he's dragging a little bit. He's still obviously football IQ, his experience, he's usually where he needs to be, but just not necessarily as dynamic, obviously, at this point in his career. I really am hard pressed here to stop the Trenton Simpson slide or grab Isaiah Foskey and continue to improve at edge, improve that pass rush. So it's one of those two players. And I think I'm going to stop the slide. I think that's the direction I want to go in here. Trent Simpson comes off the board. All right. That puts that hurts me because I could have very well gone in that direction here with Seattle. Slide him in next to Jordan Brooks. I do like Noah Sewell. I think that's a player to consider there. Cornerback, Drew. You know, they probably, John Snyder and Pete Carroll, they probably go get a guy day 3 who runs a 4.2 and 6'7".
And he plays for Washington.
Yeah, something like that. Something like San Diego State or something like that.
Right.
That is kind of their MO. You know what I mean? I think I'm gonna get a little weird here.
Gotta get weird sometimes.
I think I'm gonna get a little weird.
You might want to get weird because them boys is mad at me what I did with their team last time. So I picked too many defensive linemen, bro.
You kept going to the well. You just kept going to the well.
Did.
You know what I mean? And I think they may have felt a little type of way here. It's actually a very interesting board here. Like I'm considering John Michael Schmitz. Although they tend to be a little bit more, downhill. Even though they're in the shotgun a ton, it tends to be a little bit more of a downhill attack. I like the idea of Noah Sewell next to Jordan Brooks, as I mentioned previously. I think they can stand to add Isaiah Foskey. You know what I mean? There's no huge need, but just the way things are breaking out, he might be an interesting play here. And then what I'm also thinking about, Drew, is quarterback. I'm the Hendon Hooker, to pair him up with Geno. You know what I'm saying? Give Geno a nice 2-year deal. Bring in Hooker. That might be something to consider. But with the 37th pick, I'm gonna stay true to my board, and I'm gonna go with Isaiah Foskey.
Isaiah Foskey. I ain't mad at it. So I'm looking for a guy, but I don't see him in here. Hold on, man.
Who you looking for?
Did they run him off, bro? Or is he not eligible?
Who you looking for?
Tyler Davis? Is he not here?
I don't know. No, he should be there. Is Tyler Davis draft eligible? He might not be, Drew.
He might not be.
He might not be.
Man, I'm hurt, bro.
He might not be.
All right, somebody let me know down in the comment section. Yeah, I don't think he's draft eligible. All right, well, I'm hurt. No, I'm not hurt. All right. So we could, let me see here. We went Jaron Hall with the Raiders for the first pick. They're not happy about that. Sorry, guys. We ain't got your franchise quarterback over there with Josh McDaniels. These boys need corners, offensive tackle. They don't need edge. They got edge. They got edge players. Them edges didn't do anything this year, but they got edge players.
Davis otherwise would be draft eligible, so I think he may have decided not to draft.
Oh yeah, I think he did go back. I think that's right. I think that's correct. Yeah. That is correct actually. Him and is it Rookie for Clemson, number 33? I don't know how to say the last name.
I think so. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he definitely went back for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna go there. All right, man. So let me check one thing real quick. I just want to check something real quick, and then because I kind of know where I want to go with this.
Well, you do that. I will peruse the board here because I got Carolina and New Orleans coming up.
You do.
Speaking of Vegas, so you went with Jaron Hall.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's your guy, as we know. Guys, let Drew know what you think about him being selected 7th overall.
Was I happy?
There's a lot of question marks on the defensive side of the ball, but there's substantial question marks on the offensive side as well.
There is.
This roster, and I'm not making excuses for Derek Carr. I can't do it. It's been 9-10 years. But this roster obviously needs work. It can stand to focus on best player available, in my mind. But a lot of work to do on the defensive side of the ball in particular. You don't really have those players from those classes of Mayock and Gruden necessarily on this roster, or their contracts are
Right.
expiring. So, that those are guys who are supposed to be coming up for their extensions, and they're not going to be part of the long-term plan. So this roster is going to look very different here over the next couple of seasons.
I'm going to go with my guy here, bro. I'm going to go offensive tackle.
Appreciate you, Steven. And Jake has confirmed, that those Clemson players went back.
Okay. Thank you, Jake. Appreciate you. Thank you, Steven. Absolutely. I'm going to go with Jalen Duncan. I say that,
Yeah, you don't. There's not a whole lot of conviction in your voice.
No, I'm just mad, bro, because I was hoping that he would put it all together this year, and there would be no real issues. He could be, top 5 offensive tackle, top 3 offensive tackle, and it's just been a bottle of inconsistency.
A bottle of inconsistency.
A bottle of inconsistency, man.
All right.
And you shake it up, and it's usually at the bottom, so you don't have to worry about it.
Sure.
But it's been shaken up a couple of times this year, and it just hasn't been consistent. And so, but maybe we can work out some things, because I think he has all the tools that you want from the position. Just got to put it all together and be consistent. We don't want no Donovan Smiths out there.
No
Donovan Smiths, bro.
No Donovan Smith.
No Donovan Smiths.
All right, I got Carolina on the clock. I bit the bullet with Will Levis. Not unlike how the Drew sentiment with the Jalen Duncan pick, most recently to the Las Vegas Raiders. That's kind of how I felt. I wasn't thrilled about the idea of selecting him. I'm gonna go to cornerback. Of course, we talked about J.C. Horn a little bit. Excellent young player. Dante Jackson has struggled to stay healthy. You know what I mean? And they've tried a couple of different things. They acquired C.J. Henderson, but he hasn't played particularly well. Captain Munnerlin's out here and stuff like that.
Yo,
there's some good corners here. I think Forbes, Ricks, Garrett Williams are all in the conversation. We like Trevius Hodges-Tomlinson quite a bit at Couch Potato General Manager. I think Williams is higher on people's boards, assuming he doesn't get hurt.
Right.
But I'm gonna go with Forbes in this particular instance. I love the aggressiveness and the fact that he gets his hands on the ball. So, not sure exactly where Garrett Williams is at in terms of his recovery, but I imagine when it's all said and done, he will be substantially higher. I shouldn't say much higher, but definitely higher in overall rankings, perhaps a top 50 player.
You don't believe in C.J. Henderson, bro? They getting roasted.
He don't look good, my guy.
That ain't a talent thing either. That's a mindset, bro.
He's not looking particularly good here. I think Thule's been on the board too long. That's going to be my reasoning here. Quarterback is a question mark for me.
Right.
We certainly could perhaps dabble with Hendon Hooker, but with him coming off the injury, and the Saints are in a rebuild, man. They're in a rebuild. The defense still plays, but we got some expiring contracts up front. I think we want to replenish the talent there. So I'm gonna go with Thule here.
Thule. All right, man. So we got the Titans on the board. With our first pick, we went with my number 1 receiver, Rashee Rice. And so it looks like we need to be going offensive line, maybe. Or
perhaps. And there's some options out here.
There are some options. We got Andrew Voorhees. We got Dawan Jones, Cody Mock. We got Matthew Bergeron. We got Zion. No, we don't got no Zion Nelson. Talk about inconsistent. What? Let me see here. Got us a Cedric Van Pran. I think that's how you say it. But nah, because you know what? Should I do it? Check one thing real quick. See if I should pull the trigger on this one here, man. What you want to do?
I mean, Dawan Jones staring you right there in the face, man. We want to, Vrabel want to be big, and
he do want to be big. That's you right. You know what? I'll just do it. Let's go ahead. Let's take him off the board. Been up there entirely too long. You go Cody Mock too, though. Both of them boys.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. You could go Mock too.
But Jones that's a mountain out there.
Yeah.
All right,
Cleveland with their sole Day 1, day 2 pick. They
What?
don't have a pick in the first round.
What happened?
Watson, the quarterback.
Watson out of there, or Watson in? Oh no, he in there. Excuse me.
In there now.
He in there.
He in there.
I know these boys. They fired their defensive coordinator. It was a mess over there, but people didn't know where to line up and what they was doing from time to time. So they need edge. I think I'm gonna go. And your boy's not staying. What's his name?
Who that?
Clowney. Was just talking greasy. Clowney was, but now we're gonna go ahead and go.
Yeah, I like Van Prant too. There, Jake.
We go on Felix.
Oh yeah, Clowney. Yeah, you got to replace Clowney.
We're gonna go Azuma.
Talking
high
about
effort, high motor, running things down. Heavy
talking
hands,
about
quick hands.
They don't put him in position to be successful.
Stop
bro,
it.
you're playing opposite Myles Garrett, bro.
Don't care. What else do you need?
Come on, man.
What else do you need, man? Come on. We're going to Azuma.
Big Felix. All right.
Yeah.
I like it.
Felix. And the Jets, we got Anthony Richardson. I know it was a discussion earlier about Anthony Richardson. And
yes,
and
it's a discussion. Good one though. Good one.
Going with Derek Carr, and we went with Anthony Richardson. Let me see here. Oh, I think you took my. Oh no, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go Noah Sewell.
Okay.
Linebacker.
All right.
Lock it up.
Put him next to CJ Mosley, huh?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's get it.
I like it.
Shut that defense, middle of that defense, anyways.
All right, I went with big Tyree Wilson in the first round with the 8th overall selection. He offers some versatility. They're doing the odd man front. When you go even, he can either play on the edge or slide inside. So I like Wilson there, trying to improve that pass rush. I think there's some young players that are going into year 2, the D'Angelo Malones, the Arnold Ebikettis, that I think can help your pass rush and get better as well. So that's kind of my thought process there. There were times where when I was watching the Falcons and I did not recognize who was catching the football.
That's not good, bro. Right. No name out there.
So you know how lightly used Kyle Pitts was.
Right.
Hope to change that. Drake London flashed. I like Drake London. I know people, concerned about his ability to separate, whatever the case may be. I think Drake London has skills.
He's fine, man.
He's fine. He's fine. But I want to be more dynamic on the offensive side of the ball here. I want to be more explosive. It's a very much a ball control offense with Arthur Smith, but in this league, particularly during the regular season, you're going to have to score points. There's going to be weeks where you just simply have to outscore your opponent, and they just didn't have enough explosiveness. So I'm going to go with perhaps one of the most explosive players in this particular class. Maybe not the fastest, but just as far as his twitch and ability to create separation, stack defensive backs, and make guys look silly at times. I'll go with Josh Downs. Really like Josh Downs here, playing, in that slot, as he's flanked by the Drake Londons and the Kyle Pitts of the world.
I'm mad at it.
Jake, we're back on the clock here, man. We went with JSN in the first round, shirted up. Which direction do we go in right here, Jake? Talk to me.
Don't take my guy.
Talk to me, Jake. Because I'm thinking. You know what I mean?
Thinking hard,
thinking. Bro. I am thinking. I've been a big proponent of you have Aaron Rodgers, you need to push all your chips to the middle of the table and go for it. You know what I'm saying? Like every year, when you have a first ballot Hall of Famer at quarterback, guy as talented as him, and of course he didn't play to his normal level this year. You can attribute to that to him kind of waffling a little bit as far as whether or not he wanted to play ball. And then of course, the Devontae Adams situation, you didn't necessarily get the reps in with your young receivers, and the offensive line didn't play as well as it has in recent years. So that all kind of came together and worked against him. So my thought process, Jake, I see what you're saying here, and I was definitely thinking Dalton Kincaid. That's what I meant by pushing my chips all the way to the middle of the table. However, Chris Smith is very intriguing. He's very intriguing. So you would go with Smith over Skinner if we go safety. That's what you're telling me here. All right.
Yeah, I think Smith had a better season than Skinner.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about overall skill set and ultimately the fit
Yeah, that's
in
true.
Green Bay. Um, yeah, they got all those Georgia boys in Green Bay. They got your boy
They do.
uh,
They do. They
Wynn
got
and Walker
Yep.
and Chewy. But that is exactly who I was considering, Jake. See, that's why you know what I'm saying, I deal with Jake. You know what I mean? I was really thinking Kincaid. Who's under contract at tight end? They'll probably bring Mercedes back because Mercedes is an extension of the offensive line.
And Roger
But
likes him a lot.
yeah, but I think when you think about it from a Watson being able to stretch the field, Dubs can make plays
They
at
got
different
Tunyon.
levels.
I don't know if Tunyon's coming back.
No,
They got Tunyon though.
Tunyon's contract is expiring. Um, I kind of like the Kincaid. You know, yeah, Amos will be on the move, and Smith gives you more flexibility with Darnell Savage. So I certainly understand that. Yep, Tony and Lewis are free agents. I think they'll bring Mercedes back just simply because the age. You know what I'm saying? He's cool with Rodgers. You know how that goes. You know what I mean? And like I said, he is an extension of the offensive line, but they need to address tight end as well. You got that big boy Washington out there too, Darnell. But I'm a Kincaid fan. We went offense in the first round. Let's grab Chris Smith. Let's grab
Don't
Chris Smith.
go Chris Smith.
Let's go Chris Smith.
Hit you with an audible out here.
Yeah, let's go Chris Smith. I'm with Jake. I'm running with Jake. I would consider Brandon Joseph there as well.
Right.
But I can live with Chris Smith. Let's do it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. But you got to play defense too. You talked me into Chris Smith, but I was definitely thinking Kincaid. I was definitely thinking that.
Yo, Brandon Joseph would be nice.
Yeah,
I like him too.
Yeah,
I like him too.
Yeah.
So we got New England on the clock. With our first pick, we selected Jordan Addison. I'm thinking about going back to the well at receiver. To be honest with you,
all right. I'm not mad at it. They need to do something about their offense. Yeah. Jalen Hyatt, Zay Flowers, Tillman. Kayshawn. They need to do something.
I'm not gonna go Butte because of the question mark. I need a sure thing, or it's as sure thing as I'm gonna get. And I think my sure things are between Hyatt, Flowers, and Tillman. And I have Tillman higher rated than everyone else, but I like Zay Flowers. He just pops. He just. I don't know, man. There's something about him. I think we're gonna go Zay Flowers here, man.
Zay.
Yeah, let's go Zay.
We
got Addison and Flowers. No excuses, Mac Jones. None.
Zay Flowers is the pick. So you went back-to-back receivers there with New England.
Yeah, man.
I think they need to do everything in their power to figure out how to effectively execute the forward pass. So I'm with you there.
Probably start with that OC, but
Yeah, I agree with you. So we have the Commanders on the clock. Went Christian Gonzalez. I believe that was the first corner off the board. A little bit different because we've had Gonzalez in our top 10 in most of our mock drafts, but this one worked out a little bit differently. So slam dunk pick in my mind. We talked a little bit about the quarterback position. We're in no fuss. We kind of like the battery of Heineke and Sam Howell and kind of see how things play out from that perspective. I think I want to get better. I think I want to get better around them. I want to give them some more options. I've considered bolstering that offensive line. I think the second level of the defense probably could use a Henry To'oTo'o. But you know what, Drew? I'm gonna go get my guy Dalton Kincaid. We were talking about him recently. I think it's worth again in the regular season. We're talking about a team that didn't make the playoffs, right? There's some holes. I think there's some areas that they can improve. But I love his movement ability. I love his ability to catch the football, create separation. It reminds me. I'm not necessarily calling him this player. He's not quite as physically imposing. At least earlier on in his career, but certainly as a receiver, he moves similarly to Travis Kelce. I want to give Sam Howell potentially an option in the middle of the field here. I got McLaurin, I got Dotson. Those guys are studs in my mind. Curtis Samuel can make plays when he's healthy. Let's get a little bit more firepower here in Washington. All right, so that brings me to the Detroit Lions. I've drafted Miles Murphy. Pair him up with Aiden Hutchinson. We got Joey Porter to pair up with Jeff Okuda on the back end. If I know Sewell was here, I would go grab Panay's brother. He is not on the board here. I think tight end is a position to consider. If we were to go offense, we talked a little bit, or rather, some of our viewers talked a little bit about, addressing the running back position here, pairing somebody up with DeAndre Swift, considering his injuries, Jamal Williams, considering the season he had. I imagine that there probably will be a meeting of the minds there, and they'll figure out a deal for him. But I don't have a crystal ball. Here. We can always use more edge. Hey, James Houston played well when he was healthy. He played really well when he's healthy. That's something to keep in mind as well. Darnell Washington, you got Tucker Kraft. I still have 2 picks here. Brandon Joseph. I know they kind of like their safeties, but you could stand to get better there. Just considering the depth at that one other position that I'm considering. Let's go Brandon Joseph. Let's lock it up. Let's lock it up as far as that secondary is concerned.
Bro, he ruined JSN's season, bro.
Yeah, bro.
You picked him? You picking him?
Yeah, I considered it, Jake. I considered it. Tight end is one of those positions that, one of the few positions on the offensive side of the ball in Detroit that I think they need to address. I really did consider it.
All right, next up, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh fan is probably pissed off right now. Probably didn't make it to this pick and wasn't turned it off. Probably hit the thumbs down arrow or whatever, or thumbs down.
Yep.
Because we went Peter Skoronski. They're probably okay with the Peter Skoronski. They're probably like, man, all right, they better not mess it up in the second round. Second round. And, of course, Drew went ahead and did that and got Derek Hall. Drew said he liked the player, just not the position that was picked. Although I feel like Derek Hall is very versatile in what he can do on the defense. And so it looks like Pittsburgh could use a corner. They could use some more O-line help. I saw today on Twitter or somewhere I was reading, and they were talking about maybe Pittsburgh goes out and gets a receiver with their first pick. Actually, with their first 2 picks, get a receiver. I don't know about that, but maybe with this 3rd pick possibly, but we're not doing that. We're going to go ahead and get a corner. We're going to do the right thing. And we are going to go ahead and grab, we got Eli Ricks, got Garrett Williams, and we got Travis Hodges Tomlinson. And I'm higher on Travis Hodges Tomlinson than most. I know he's a smaller corner, but I think he has a skill set to play the position, attack the ball in the air, even though he is, again, a smaller size guy who can play inside, a willing tackler. I think he's quick twitch, click and close. I like him. We're going with LaDainian Tomlinson. It's his nephew or his cousin?
I think I want to say nephew.
Nephew.
I want to say nephew.
I want to say nephew too.
I could be wrong.
We'll go with it.
We're gonna call him his nephew.
He family. He family at the end of the day.
He family. Yes, sir. All right. I went with Paris Johnson in the first round. I'm done with Donovan Smith.
Damn, bro.
Clear out your locker.
Dang, bro.
It's like that. It's like that, man. It's like that. We're trying to ride Brady till he's 50.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So we gotta make sure that we keep him clean. And I want to see Rachaad White get off in 2023 as well. I think there's some contracts coming to an end, particularly in Tampa Bay secondary. They had a really young battery for several years here, but those guys are getting to the end of their rookie deals. I believe Carlton Davis is one of the few that signed beyond 2023. So I'm looking at cornerback. You took Travis Hodges Tomlinson. It's between Eli Ricks and Garrett Williams for me. Again, Ricks was kind of a late addition to Bama after transferring from LSU because he was learning the scheme. Garrett Williams lost most of his season due to an injury. Both talented players in their own right. Both offer good size. I think I'm going to lean Garrett Williams here, though, to play opposite Carlton Davis in what I imagine will be Todd Bowles' scheme. So you know what? I'm gonna call it audible.
Oh, audible.
It's okay. Todd Bowles' scheme. So I'm gonna go Eli Ricks.
Eli Ricks. I ain't mad at it, bro. I ain't mad at it. All right, man. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars with their first pick. I selected Cam Smith, cornerback out of South Carolina. And with this second pick, we're going to go offensive tackle, and we're going to go ahead and grab up got two guys that I like. But we're going to go ahead and get Cody Mock from North Dakota State. You know, North Dakota State lost to South Dakota State.
Did they?
Yeah,
I didn't
the
know
bowl.
North Dakota State lost any games.
I
didn't know they lost ever.
Them boys lost. I think they lost by like 10 or something. It wasn't. I don't think it was close. But maybe
Gotcha.
Somebody can let me know in the comment section. And then we got Miami. This is their first pick after doing all that tampering and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. You got to tamper.
Yeah,
and if you ain't tampering, you ain't trying to win.
You ain't trying to win.
You know what I mean?
And we're gonna do the easy thing, right?
Easy. Right.
Yeah, them boys got like 16 running backs on the roster, but we're gonna get a guy who we know is gonna be super talented within that scheme. We're gonna go ahead and get Jamar Gibbs. I like him a lot for that scheme.
Gibbs,
so,
the new and improved. I don't know if it's an improved, but the new Alvin Kamara 2.0 right here.
2.0. That's what Pokey, bro.
Yeah, Pokey.
Y'all know who Pokey is? we call Alvin Kamara Gumby. So
yes,
Pokey's the horse, the little red horse for Gumby. Look it up, Google it.
All right, so this is an interesting pick, and during
are you tired of picking for these guys, bro?
No, I don't mind.
Okay.
I don't mind. We've gone defensive heavy. We've kind of addressed each level of the defense effectively. As he's off the ball. Nope, he's not off the ball. He's an edge rusher. But again, they're playing more of a 3-4 look here. So effectively, in my mind, we've addressed every level of the defense. I think they can stand to improve at linebacker. Henry To'oTo'o would be a guy that I would consider here. They like their tight ends. They like their tight ends in Seattle. You know what I mean? And I think Noah Fant might be entering the last year of his deal. So Darnell Washington, given his size, his unique size, might be an interesting pick here. I'm also thinking quarterback, man. Like I said, currently they don't have anybody signed beyond 2022. I imagine, I fully expect Seattle to work out a deal with Geno Smith. How substantial, how long that deal remains to be seen. I think we could very well have like a 2-year with a team option. But who knows? Who knows ultimately what they're going to do there? Hendon Hooker is a guy that I would consider heavily, very, very heavily here. But for the purposes of this mock, we'll grab Darnell Washington. I think he's a future at the tight end position in Seattle.
I ain't mad. I don't like it. Extension of the offensive line. So yeah, I like it.
All right. So we got the Giants on the board here. And we talked about, which direction we should go in as far as this team. They've had so many issues along their offensive line. They seemingly have most of that fixed. They could probably address the interior a little bit, but by and large, I think they have really done a good job finally getting the right pieces there on the offensive line. They have question marks at quarterback long term. I imagine, again, Daniel Jones will be the guy in 2023, but it remains to be seen long term what they're going to do there. Barkley's contract is expiring. The receiver position is in need of an injection of talent, and that's the direction I'm leading in here. We have some interesting players on the board. We have Jalen Hyatt, Kayshon Boutte, Cedric Tillman. I'm looking at the two Vols players, right? And I wouldn't be opposed to, and I'm not sure what the contract situation looks like, but I wouldn't be opposed to bringing Darius Slayton back. I think he's a solid field stretcher. I like Tillman. I think he's a more complete player.
Yep.
And that's exactly what the Giants need at the receiver position. So I'm going to go with Cedric Tillman.
I like it, bro.
All right. So we have the Bears on the clock. Of course, the Bears traded what effectively is the 32nd overall pick to acquire Chase Claypool in season. Of course, I think Claypool totaled 10 grabs for 150 yards or so. It didn't really bear fruit in season, so we'll see what happens with the full off season, whether or not they can get some value out of that. He's actually going into the last year of his rookie contract, so they really need that to work out. Although they did get a second round pick in the trade of Roquan Smith, who's gone on to Baltimore, and obviously helped that defense. Again, didn't really understand it, but what have you. Here we are. Jalen Carter with the first overall pick. I need to help Justin Fields, right? In the form of protection, in the form of weapons. I need to help him. David Montgomery's contract has expired, right? They could certainly improve at the running back position, but I'm gonna go with Jalen Hyatt. I'm gonna go with Jalen Hyatt here. Mooney going into the last year of his deal, he was considered kind of the field stretcher. Um, Hyatt has game changing speed. I believe the only receiver that you have under contract um, this year, beyond this year, is Velus Jones, who's also a Vol. So we're gonna have a lot of speed out here on the field here with Justin Fields.
I like it. So for the Chargers, with our first pick, we went out. We got Drew Sanders, a guy who can play, obviously linebacker at the second level, but also can rush the passer.
It's a bad boy.
Good. Yeah, man.
It's a bad boy. First linebacker off the board.
Dual threat out here. Dual threat, man. Look at, he's got plenty of production. I know Bumper Pool is the guy they're going to talk about at Arkansas, but it's Drew Sanders, man.
Yeah, that's the NFL guy.
Yeah, that's the, you can't miss him, man.
That's the NFL guy.
But with this next pick, I am going to go defensive line, and you took the guy who I think that they should end up drafting at some point, which is Ika from Baylor. I forget where you selected him at, but we're gonna go with Byron
in Arizona.
Arizona, yeah, that is right.
Yep.
So there's two players that I'm looking at here. I'm looking at Byron Young from Alabama, and I'm looking at Gervin Dexter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think. Well, this is assuming Staley's there, right? Because if he's not there, the scheme may completely change, and Byron Young might be the better fit if it's a 4-3. But if they're running a 3-4, I think Dexter's probably the better player. Not that Byron Young cannot play in a 3-4.
Play in that, yep.
But I think if you want to get the most out of Byron Young, I think he needs to be in a 4-3 where you can move him around. He is a penetrator. He could do the two gap thing. I just don't. I don't know that you're not doing him a disservice. You're just not getting. If you're trying to get to the 10, if you're trying to get a 10 out of him,
right?
You can't put him in a two gap scheme, right?
Sure.
You're probably getting about 8.5 from him, right? But if you put him in a 4-3 scheme, you're going to get that 10. Dexter, I think. You'll get the 10 out of him if you put him in the two gap scheme, right? Because I don't necessarily think he's a true pass rusher, if you will, just a guy take up space, let the guys behind him do the work. And you got Drew Sanders behind you with is it Perriman that's there? No, not Perriman's in Perriman was there.
Yeah,
you got your boy. You got your boy, man. Nah.
What you mean at the linebacker position?
Yeah.
Oh, Murray?
You got Murray, bro. Your guy, isn't it? Yo.
Disappointing.
Facts.
Disappointing. Yeah, I thought Patrick Queen was a better player coming out. So 56, going Dexter.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dexter.
All right. In the first round, the Dallas Cowboys taking Clark Phillips pair up with Trayvon Diggs. I think that gives you a formidable duo at the corner position.
Production all over the place.
Absolutely. A couple different directions we could go in here with Dallas. I'm looking at the board here, and I think there's a question mark at guard, particularly if you plan on playing Tyler Smith at tackle long term. I'm not sure what the Tyron Smith situation is going to look like beyond this season. Right. So it's an interesting situation here. We got Cedric Van Pran. That I think would look good along that offensive line, sure, at the interior of the offensive line. And then I mentioned it previously, and even though there's incredible depth at the running back position, I don't know what it's going to look like moving forward, right? Although Ezekiel Elliott is under contract, he is woefully overpaid. Is he going to restructure, or is he going to force Dallas's hand to release him? Tony Pollard is an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year, right? And as dynamic as he is and what he means to that offense, I think he would be sorely missed. So finding a guy that kind of has some of that same slippery explosiveness might be in order here. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna do what I typically do, which isn't very sexy, right? And I'm gonna bet on the depth that we have at this running back position, because I can go as far as down here as Roshan Johnson and be perfectly fine with what we do. I love Israel Abanikanda. I think he should go in day 3. Second round isn't out of the question for me. You got Sean Tucker, Deuce Vaughn. A-Chain is somebody I'm thinking about. Zach Charbonnet can give you all 3 downs. So a lot of different options there. And depending on the next time I'm at the controls when we're doing these mock drafts, I might go running back here. But in this case, I'm gonna go Cedric Van Pan.
And I watched me some Dwayne McBride today too.
Oh yeah, UAB. Yeah, he's a good one. He's a good one.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, man. So we went guard.
Yes, sir.
Interior.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. All right, we got the Bengals on the clock. We went offensive line. We went Anton Harrison from Oklahoma, offensive tackle. A lot of people like him, and I can't blame him. I would agree. And so I'm going to go cornerback here for the Bengals, and we're going to select Garrett Williams. Let's keep it easy, man.
I like it. That's excellent value there. Lions, it's been all defense to this point.
Mm-hmm.
All defense to this point. I'm inclined to go best player available at this juncture. It really depends on who you consider the best player is. Some folks are big Antonio Johnson fans. There are things that he does very well. I think he was played out of position a little bit this year, and I've soured on him somewhat. I think we have what we need at the edge. Offensive line is ready to go. Let's go get your guy, man. Should I do it? Should I do it? You know what? I'm gonna get sexy. I just talked about sticking to the script, but I'm gonna get sexy. So we have DeAndre Swift. Jamal Williams could very well be in play, but assuming he isn't, it's a question about which running back you go with at this point. And I want a back that's a little bit different compared to Swift. Swift is a slasher, right? Obviously, he can make plays out of the backfield. I want a little bit more physicality. And the guy that I think represents that the best at this juncture, Zach Charbonnet. So I'm gonna go with Charbonnet here.
Charbonnet. I'm mad at it. Yeah, these running backs. Everybody offers something, man.
Everybody offers something. Absolutely. That puts Carolina on the board here, and as I mentioned before, as considering the amount of draft capital the Panthers have invested in the defense, it's just kind of funny how everybody's coming up at the same time as far as their contracts are concerned. So we grabbed Emmanuel Forbes in the second round, bit the bullet, went with Will Levis. So we're hitching our wagon to him moving forward. This team too could use a running back. And there's so many guys. There's so many guys to like here, man. And I might get some hate for this one, but I'm gonna go with my guy, Easy Abanikanda, man. I don't know if you've watched him. He's gonna be 20
years old. You get hate because nobody know who the hell you talking about.
Bro. Yeah, they don't know, but I recommend checking out the film. Let me do my due diligence. Look around here before I pull the trigger.
Well, so you passing up a Devin A-Chain with the speed.
Yeah, but
Zach Evans is nice. Just didn't get to run.
Abanikanda can run with the best of them too, man. I'm telling you, he's a real deal. Trying to explain to you, I think this team could benefit. As I'm thinking about it, as I'm actually doing my due diligence here, I think this team could benefit from perhaps adjusting Jeremy Chin's role a little bit. Safety is in play. You need to think about what you want to do from a defensive end perspective, long term. Let's go KJ Henry.
KJ Henry out here.
Go Henry.
All right, man. I ain't mad at it.
You got my guy Gross Matos. I think he's going into the last year of his deal. Maybe your boy Spider-Man. He's definitely going into the last year. They got to figure out what they want to do with him long term. So there's some question marks up front. So
we got the Bills on the clock. They selected Osiris Torrance. We got to keep Josh Allen upright. So we want to make sure we get that interior right with Osiris Torrance. And so I think now I'm thinking about the running back position because we did have Bijan on the board and we went on Osiris Torrance instead of him. And we do got our pick of the litter in terms of the running backs. But if we wait a little bit longer, I mean, you're not really. I mean,
Yeah,
this
it's deep. It's deep.
look at this, man.
It's deep, man.
Kendre Miller for them, man.
Forgot about Kendra. He didn't get to play in the national championship. They could have
Nah, he
definitely
didn't.
used him.
He didn't. You
Could have
know,
definitely used him.
we're gonna go safety.
Okay.
And
Yeah. With Hyde and Poyer, the deals are coming to an end here
coming to an
soon.
end, yeah.
Hyde coming off the injury. Yep.
And I'm gonna go the Jordan Battle or J.L. Skinner because I know how I feel about Antonio Johnson. He's gonna have to show me something at the combine, but I'm gonna go with Skinner, man.
All right.
Skinner.
Okay. That puts Kansas City Chiefs on the board.
Yeah, we got Darnell Wright. We went in the first round in terms of tackle. We got to again keep our quarterback upright. We're doing that. We could go receiver here. Keishawn Butte is what people probably would be screaming for right here, right? But we not doing that. We are going to select. This is tough, man. I'm going running back. It's just this is tough, man.
Yeah.
It's on this board.
Sean Tucker's the guy, right?
Sean, I mean, yeah, man.
Watch the Chiefs draft Deuce Vaughn. Well, watch. Then he becomes Sproles 2.0.
Let me see if I can talk myself out of it. Can I talk myself out of it?
Might be able to talk yourself out of it.
I think I know who I want to go with. Let me just check this real quick. I might hit an audible here. Let's see. Nah, I can't do. Nah, we can't do it. Can I do it? I can do it though. You know what? Come on, Drew. What you want to do? I'm trying to talk myself into it, man. Oh man. Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's go Keishawn Butte. The slide stops, man. Let's go ahead. Let's grab him. Man.
That's a good pick, man.
Yeah, it's not a bad. I was let's do it.
He fits that big slot mold. He does. All right. Philadelphia on the clock. We went BJ Ojolari. Again, NFL mock draft database. Love your simulator, but don't particularly care for your ranking of Ojolari.
Was got to update it, man. Ain't updated yet.
BJ Robinson falls into our lap. Had to do it. Even though probably not what Howie Roseman would do. He may break tendency though. Robinson staring him in the face at the bottom.
You got that 5th year deal, man. You gotta that's you know what I'm saying? That locks it in.
That's my thought process there. I think I'd like to address the cornerback position. But I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off. Excuse me. I like Mekhi Garner more than most. I think he has some unique traits that you simply can't teach. And he's somebody I would really consider here. I am based on the board though. I'm looking at Mazzie Smith and Andre Carter, and I think even with BJ Ojolari in tow, I don't think you can ever have enough pass rushers. Like I said, they're getting longer in the tooth.
You see what how he did this past offseason. He was just let me grab this guy. Let me 1 year this guy, void years. I'll make sure everybody comes back. Sign me a suit. Like
they're making a run, right? Making a run. I want to replenish that, and I want to be about 8 deep along my defensive line. So I think Andre Carter solidifies the edge for sure here.
Here we go. Like it.
All right. It's been a long one, but it's been a good one, and we're here at the end of the second round. The Bears back on the clock. Jalen Carter. I am of the mindset that the rest of this draft needs to be about Justin Fields. It needs to be about creating an environment where he can thrive, where he can demonstrate what he's fully capable of. So So it really is about putting good players around him. You know what I mean? And of course, as much as I love Jalen Carter, the Bears really do need to trade this pick. They need to get as much draft capital as they possibly can. Let whomever is moving up to one take a quarterback and still end up with a Jalen Carter or Will Anderson in all likelihood. So that's kind of the mindset there. As far as this selection is concerned, I'm looking at the board, and while they certainly could use, like, I'm a fan of Kalijah Cansey. That's a guy that I really like.
Yeah.
All right, we talked about Byron Young quite a bit. They could certainly use him. They need help in their front seven. I think from a defensive standpoint, the only area that doesn't need a ton of work is the secondary. So I could very well go in that direction. Byron Young and Kalijah Cansey. But I'm gonna go with Matthew Bergeron, right? And this is my concerted effort to improve this offensive line. And again, make this team better around Justin Fields. I think Bergeron has a quality skill set. I think some functional strength. He needs to work on that.
Yep.
But I think the movement ability and what he can do there on the edges as a tackle plays. So Matthew Bergeron is the pick.
And Guadalupe, we talking about Byron Young from Alabama is the baller. I think they're both ballers, but that's the beast.
Yeah, I like them both.
Yeah.
I like them both. But in that particular spot, we're talking about the one from Bama. Yeah. Especially when you already have, Travis Gibson's of the world, whatever the case may be. I'll slide him in next to Jalen Carter, and we can do some things up front.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's take a quick summary here through these draft picks, just for the consumption of our viewers, the guys that have stuck with us. We appreciate you. We have Will Anderson and Siaki Ika. I made it a point to improve that front seven. It hasn't been for a lack of trying as far as draft resources. It's just that they haven't necessarily gotten it right. The only guy that consistently affected the quarterback a season ago was J.J. Watt. And we know what Siaki Ika can do in terms of plugging up the D-line. So those are the two picks there. With the Falcons, I went Tyree Wilson earlier. They need to affect the quarterback. I think he's capable of it. And then they definitely need more explosiveness on the offensive side of the ball. So Josh Downs at 44 to me was an easy decision.
Mm-hmm.
Drew, with Baltimore, you only have one pick, but you got Spoon. You got Spoon. The board fell nicely. I actually lament the fact that I should have forced you to choose between Clark Phillips and Keely Ringo here. But Spoon to the Ravens. Spoon might end up being the best corner. I know they got Humphrey, but he might end up being the best corner on that team. For Buffalo, you didn't go sexy. You had an opportunity to, but you didn't. You went more meat and potatoes, particularly with the Osiris Torrance pick, and you followed up with J.L. Skinner. The Bills have had a lot of injuries in their secondary this year, and Poyer and Hyde, an excellent safety duo, perhaps the best safety duo in the league. They're getting towards the end of their respective contracts. I think Hyde may actually be an unrestricted free agent after 2022. So J.L. Skinner works his way in there. Carolina bit the bullet with Will Levis. I didn't love it, but I did it anyway. I'm betting on the traits. I like Emmanuel Forbes. A lot of injuries opposite. Horn got hurt too. So, never enough defensive backs, and Forbes is a good one. I could have gone Andre Carter here, but this was an ode to Headley. Headley's a big fan of KJ Henry. I think he actually feels that KJ Henry may work his way into the bottom of the first round. I like the player. The only question mark is that, when you have those really talented defensive lines, you get a lot of one-on-ones, and how do you handle when teams are game planning for you, this, that, and the other. But at least one season of Burns and Henry could be really fun to watch. We ended the draft, this mock draft, with the Chicago Bears, as you can see. Had to do the right thing at the top, but the Bears do need to trade that pick. And no quarterbacks. We're not even going to talk about it. I brought in a receiver, added another speedster here to the Bears to stretch them, and then Matthew Bergeron to help keep Justin Fields upright. The Bengals here, Anton Harrison, Garrett Williams. So I think the corners were off the board at this point for you. And you pivoted to Anton Harrison, which I love, because do anything to keep Joe Burrow clean. Right. And then Garrett Williams probably is on the fringe of the first round if he's healthy. considering his skill set. So excellent value there. With the Cleveland Browns, only one pick, but looks like you nailed it according to the mock draft database. Felix Anudike-Uzomah. No, we're not expecting a return of
Clowney.
Mm-hmm.
Clown.
Clowney was
ridiculous.
You don't complain about opportunities when you're playing opposite Myles Garrett. Don't complain. Dallas Cowboys, Clark Phillips, Cedric Van Pran. I considered running back in the second round, but I really want to shore up that offensive line. Again, not sure what's going to happen with Tyron Smith long term. That there's a question mark at guard. If Smith, comes back and he's playing tackle, you got the other Smith, the younger Smith, Tyler Smith. He could play guard, but Terrence Steele long term, what's going on with him? So let's shore up the offensive line here with Cedric Van Pran. Broncos, I really like this pick. It was only one pick, but the way the board fell, I think this was a perfect selection. Roger Jones. I mean, you could argue Jones is the top tackle in the class. You could make the argument. I'm not sure how that everybody's going to agree with it, but you certainly can make the argument. The Broncos desperately need to improve their offensive line. So excellent pick there, Drew. Detroit, I went defense early, and then I just couldn't help myself with the 59th overall pick. Charbonnet and Swift in my backfield. I think the Lions bring back Jamal Williams ultimately, which obviously creates more flexibility for the Lions. But if it worked out this way, I would be very pleased, right? You address the back end, you get after the passer, you add Miles Murphy to Hutchinson as well as James Houston, who flashed. And I think you really bolstered your defense here. Perhaps linebacker. Perhaps we work in a lot off the ball linebacker, but went with Charbonnet there at 59.
Lions fans can ask themselves too, what other running backs were on the board. I think you had everybody that was on the board except for Bijan and Gibbs. There's only two that were off the board at that point. So you kind of had your pick of the running backs. If you were going running back, who would you have chosen?
Right. Appreciate that, Jake. I think so. If it works out that way, as for the Bears, and they just can't seem to get the value that they want, for the first overall pick, you come away with Carter Hyatt Bergeron in the first 2 days, and I think you're heading in the right direction. Absolutely. Speaking of Jake, Jake had his fingerprints all over this Green Bay Packers draft. I considered Dalton Kincaid with the 45th overall pick, again, trying to push our chips to the middle of the table. I don't know why the Green Bay Packers have always kind of, been stubborn as far as their approach to, going for it. You know what I'm saying? And I think the last time they went for it was when they added Charles Woodson and they won a damn Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Clay Matthews was playing at a Defensive Player of the Year level at that point. Rodgers was an MVP. You know what I'm saying? So a little bit different situation, but I think over the years the Green Bay Packers have missed on some opportunities to really go for it. And I think JSN, that particular pick, signifies we're going for it, right? Because they just don't draft receivers in the first round, not since Javon Walker.
Chill.
Yeah, it's been a while. All right, here you are, Drew, with Bryce Young, Quentin Johnson, Michael Mayer. We kind of twisted your arm a little bit on that Michael Mayer, but this is lovely. This is lovely, Drew. As a Texan fan, I'd be hard-pressed to argue with this. Now, you might think, there may be better receivers than Quentin Johnston, but that size-speed combination, assuming you can kind of, like you said, get him involved earlier on, and I think Bryce Young will be able to find him. I think you have the makings of a quality offense already, considering where Houston is at right now. I think, with Dameon Pierce in the backfield, you add another back to him. Yeah, you're working with something here. All right. Oop, I skipped the Colts. Here we go. CJ Stroud, Blake Freeland. I think this makes a lot of sense, obviously, with Stroud. Stroud is in the conversation for QB1. You know what I mean? The Peach Bowl performance, how he took Georgia to the wire, what he demonstrated, his ability to extend plays. We already knew what he can do as far as being a traditional pocket passer. This would be ideal. So I think you're going to probably have to get 1-2 in order to get Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, assuming he declares. He's yet to declare. So we'll see about that. And then Blake Freeland, maybe a little bit earlier than some may anticipate, but Drew, you're a big fan of his. Yeah. He kind of demonstrated that he plays with enough nasty, the requisite nasty that you're looking for. from your offensive linemen. So shoring up a group that had been a strength previously and really struggled this year. All right. That takes us to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who obviously are in the playoffs making a lot of noise. And, for a young team, I think it's hard to argue with these two picks. You bolster your offensive line with Cody Mock and Cam Smith. Based on that 2021 tape, is arguably the top corner in this draft. You know what I'm saying? So I like what you did here with Jaguars 2 picks. That takes us to Kansas City. And it's hard to argue with this. Darnell Wright has helped himself a lot in 2022. The tape that he's put out, they have a question mark at right tackle. If you pass up Bijan Robinson, which you ultimately decided to do, to me, it has to be about either affecting the passer or protecting the passer. And then you get a guy who, prior to the 2022 season may have been considered the top receiver. You know what I mean? There was some question marks in terms of usage and whether or not his head was in the game, this, that, and the other. But I think kind of playing that big slot role in this Kansas City offense, he could thrive in Keyshawn Butte. All right, Drew. I got nothing to say. You explain yourself.
But set me up. They sent me no message. No, hey, just you. Listen. So Raider fan, I know you're mad. We know Carr's not coming back. He took his ball. He went home, and so you're gonna need your placement for quarterback. I know a lot of on Twitter, the Twitterverse is saying that's gonna be Brady. Let's just assume that that's not happening, right? He's either retiring, going to Miami, staying with the Bucks, or maybe back to New England. Who knows? Whatever. We're going with Jaren Hall, man. Before you kill me for the pick, I need you to go watch the tape.
Not KILL.
Oh.
Unalive.
Delete? Can I say delete? Delete me. Yes. I need you to go and watch the tape. All right. I know nobody's talking about Hall. I understand it's the Shroud show. It's the Levis show. It's the Anthony Richardson show. It's the Bryce Young show. I understand it's all their show. But I need you to go watch Jaren Hall before you do your top 5 in quarterbacks. So if you've already done your top 5 and he's not in it, I need you to go watch the tape. Go watch it and tell me I'm wrong.
Tell him he's wrong.
Tell me I'm wrong. And he ain't Zach Wilson. He ain't.
Don't Zach Wilson. The helmet.
Remember when ain't wasn't a word? Remember when ain't wasn't a word?
Yeah,
that was the word.
It's definitely a word now.
Yeah, it's definitely a word now. Ain't. He ain't Zach Wilson. They're two completely different players. I know they both came from BYU, and then we followed it up with a Jalen Duncan. We got to protect the quarterback. I was really, really wanting to go defense for this team, but without, there's a mystery at quarterback 1, and then 2, it's like, well, if I'm gonna go quarterback, why not protect the quarterback and shore up the offensive line? Now, Jalen Duncan, he has all the physical tools that you want, and when he puts it together, he could be the best offensive tackle in the country, right? But it's about that consistency. So as long as you can get the consistency out of him, you'll be fine. He's a plug and play player.
All right. Yeah, let you know about the Jaren Hall pick in the comments. Get him. All right, you got the Chargers. Oh, Drew Sanders. He's so good.
Bro.
Drew Sanders is so good, man.
Bro. Baller, bro.
First off the ball backer off the board in this mock draft. This head-to-head duel.
It's listen, he's gonna get you what you need at that second level, and you got Dexter to follow it up with the second pick who's going to clear the path for him. Man, what did Ray Lewis used to say? Saragusa and them boys used to keep them boys free so they can make plays, right?
Yeah, Haloti a little bit later in his career,
You know what I mean? So listen, Drew Sanders is a blip on the film, man. He's all over the place. Yeah. There's a lot. He did a lot for the Arkansas defense. He was the guy, man. I think it's number 42, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. All right, with the Rams, only one pick, but the way the board fell, I couldn't bring myself to pass up Trenton Simpson. Again, I mentioned it previously, week 18. You know what I mean? You try to knock off Seattle, Bobby Wagner. This is Bobby Wagner game, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's just not the same player, and that's to be expected at this point in his career. There were some interesting, intriguing edges on the board. I certainly could have gone in that direction, but I think Trenton Simpson could be, the leader of your defense, particularly if Aaron Donald decides to retire and you move on from Jalen Ramsey. I think Simpson can be a difference maker immediately at the second level of that defense in Los Angeles.
If you're the Rams, you trade that pick? In reality?
It depends. It depends. I think I think the Rams need to do some quality drafting. That's what they need to do. Like in
We
order
we
to
don't know what that look like.
in order to put themselves in a position to mitigate effectively selling their soul.
All right.
And it was worth it. They got the Lombardi, but it's they have work to do. They have work to do. Sean McVay was considering retiring. Apparently, he's coming back. I don't know. He's a young man. He was getting ahead of himself. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, when you do things, especially with like coaches, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
When they do
Right.
it for so long, and then they just kind of cold turkey like that,
Yeah.
it's rough, man. Especially when you're young.
Yeah.
Eh, eh,
Yeah.
He'd be pulling his hair out, man. He'd be back in a year if he took a year off. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think I don't know his personal situation, but I imagine he made the right choice for him,
Sure.
considering the fact that he's still very young in his career.
Mm-hmm.
You went Jameer Gibbs with the Miami Dolphins. I think it's a perfect marriage as far as the system is
Yep.
concerned. I'm not sure that they're going to do that.
No, I don't. I
Um,
don't. I just like the fit.
yeah, but it's a beautiful fit.
Yeah.
That's a hand in glove situation there. That isotoner. You know what I mean? We had the Vikings. One pick. Interesting. We had some edges slide a little bit. Of course, you have Daniil Hunter, whom they then got to make a decision on long term. Zadarius Smith still can make plays, but I don't want him playing every snap. Nolan Smith is coming off the injury. I think he would probably be in the middle of the first round if he were healthy.
Yeah.
I think if he's healthy, you got yourself a player. You got yourself a leader. You got a guy who's going to make a difference.
Yep.
And I could have gone receiver. I think it's something that the Vikings have to address. Thielen, I think, still should have a role, but he's not an every down player anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's not playing at a high enough level to be an every down player anymore. So could have gone in a couple of different directions, but ultimately went with Nolan Smith. New England, Drew. You went back to back receivers. You weren't playing with it. You like to hell with it. Even if Patricia's calling the plays, I'm gonna put so much talent out here on this field that somebody got to make a play, right?
That's it.
And the Patriots, they need an injection of talent on the perimeter. There's no question about it. I think Jacoby Myers is a quality receiver.
Mm-hmm.
They spent all that money on the tight ends and they use them sparingly. I don't understand it. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But these two guys are going to be able to create separation or are going to demand the football, and they can generate explosive plays as well. So
Yep.
I'm not mad at the back to back here with the receivers in New England. With the Saints, only one pick, 40th overall pick. To me, it's about replenishing this roster. You know what I'm saying? I think the Saints, it's going to be a little bit of a slow burn here. You know what I mean? Considering that they kind of pushed their chips to the middle of the table last year and it didn't quite work out. They took themselves out of consideration for a quarterback this year, but I think they'll probably have a very interesting class next year to work with. You know what I mean? And they could be they could stand to get into this veteran quarterback sweepstake, and they may catch lightning in a bottle here on day 3 in terms of a quarterback. So Tuli Pelotu, just really talented player. If you haven't seen him, of course he's on the West Coast. He's fun to watch. You know what I'm saying? He just making so many different plays, and as Drew said, it's so difficult to get the offensive linemen have trouble getting their hands on him.
Yep.
He's slippery. Put him out there. I know Cam Jordan's going to be a little bit older. I think the other boy, he's gone. Trey Henderson, obviously, he signed with the Bengals. So you got to replenish that. You got to inject that talent back on that defensive line. All right, the Jets, Drew. You went with Anthony Richardson, and we had a conversation regarding whether or not it would be a veteran in place
Right.
at this point, and do we throw Anthony Richardson right into the fire? Do we allow him to sit? Ultimately, I think it'd be ideal if he could sit a bit and you had some competent play around it. But this marks obviously the end of the Zach Wilson experiment, and then I think you get great value in Noah Sewell in the second round. You add to our already quality defense there.
I know James Higgins. He wanted Osiris Torrance and then John Michael Schmitz is what I was supposed to do.
Like I said, I think if you're convinced that you can get a starter who is better than Derek Carr, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I love the idea of bolstering that offensive line. You get a healthy Becton, healthy Elijah Vera Tucker, it's a problem now. Now it's a problem up front with Brees Hall behind that. That's scary stuff, and you can play action off of that. Got the Giants here: Keely Ringo, Cedric Tillman. Two positions of need, two I think highly touted players. I think Tillman maybe not quite as much, but I think throughout the pre-draft process he's going to help himself a lot. People will gravitate to Jalen Hyatt considering all the big plays, and the fact that Tillman got hurt. But when you look at the tape, and even if you're box score hunting, the most consistent player is Cedric Tillman. You understand what I'm saying? And he kind of offers that receiver one profile, whereas Hyatt strikes me more as a guy who could potentially be a receiver one, but more of a field stretcher who's going to catch 3 to 4 passes and he's going to average 20 yards a catch. That's kind of the player he strikes me as. But ultimately, he could develop into a more well-rounded player. See ultimately how that works out. All right, with the Eagles staying in the NFC East, so when B.J. Ojolari, Bijan Robinson, and then the board just fell to me as far as Andre Carter, so we went back to edge. I think even breaking tendency here with a running back in the first round, if Philadelphia comes away with these 3 players in their first 3 picks, they're going to be over the moon. They're going to be over the moon. Okay, that takes us to Pittsburgh Steelers, Drew, and I'm sure people are scratching their heads. As much as I like Derek Hall, I wasn't a huge fan of the selection. I got to be honest with you. But if you're just talking about staying true to your board and picking guys that you like, all these guys are going to be good football players. There's no question about it. All right, the Niners, you got nothing.
Yo, boy's hurt. Picked in the 3rd round. Better win the ball.
All right. So Seattle, obviously, a lot of draft capital considering the Russell Wilson trade. I'm all on board with Brian Bresee as early as the 5th overall pick. Some might not necessarily care for it, but in the grand scheme of things, I think he could be the linchpin of your defense. He's that good. He's that good. He has the ability to make all 10 guys better. All other 10. Brian Branch, his versatility, what you're going to do here at safety long term. I think, another kind of blue chip prospect here in a defense that places a lot of responsibility on their safeties. Isaiah Foskey, great value. This may be my favorite draft to this point. I like what they have at edge, but they could stand to bolster it even more. And I think Foskey with the 37th overall pick just represents too good of a value to pass up. And then Darnell Washington. They like the tight ends in Seattle. A lot of guys' contracts either expired or will be expiring after 2023. Washington kind of fits that profile of that bigger athlete that they like. John Snyder and Pete Carroll. Think, him down the seam with, Lockett. We'll see how much longer Lockett plays, but certainly Metcalf. Ultimately, if they stick with Metcalf, that's imposing. That's imposing offensively. It gives you a lot of room for error as a passer.
Yes, it does.
All right. A few more teams here. I went with the Bucks. Got Paris Johnson. As I explained to Drew, who's our resident Book fan, the Donovan Smith era is over. You're not doing it no more. Paris Johnson is my top offensive tackle. To get him 19th overall, it was too good to be true. And then, of course, a lot of expiring contracts in the Bucs secondary. Eli Ricks is very talented. We didn't get to see as much of him as we'd like, but when you talk about his size, his technique, there's a lot to like about him. I think he could form a pretty good duo there with Carlton Davis. And then Tennessee Titans. Drew took his guy. He stuck to his guns throughout this entire draft process. Guys, if you're not particularly familiar with Rashee Rice, I suggest you check out the channel. That's Couch Potato General Manager on YouTube. Got a 5-play scouting report. Go to our website. Got the full scouting report on Rashee Rice there as well. That's couchpotatogm.com. So Rice is very, very good. And I'll give a little away, based on our proprietary grade scale as far as the incoming rookie class. Rashee Rice graded just below Garrett Wilson for me. Garrett Wilson was my top receiver last year. And of course, see the kind of receiving that he had. I think he should be considered offensive rookie of the year. So not quite the Garrett Wilson level, but not too far off either. Rashee Rice is the real deal. And then Dawan Jones, I think great value there. They need to get back to controlling the line of scrimmage. They just haven't done it the same way this past season.
Yeah.
Right? Last team was the Washington Commanders, and I must say, Drew, these two picks, great value. If you're
Yep.
willing to roll with the situation at quarterback, Heineke, Sam Howell, Christian Gonzalez comes in, he effectively comes cornerback one, and then Dalton Kincaid. I think as far as pass catching is concerned, you'd be hard pressed to find a better tight end in this class. So that's going to do it, folks. It was a little bit long of a stream, but really in depth. We don't like to shortchange anything here.
Right.
Um, at Couch Potato General Manager, thank you for riding with us. Hope you enjoyed the second half draft show, and we will see you next week.